So I just wanted to, if you're a subscriber to the channel, it says there's 4 people watching. We haven't posted anything in quite some time. I was really struggling with the whole YouTube thing. I like watching YouTube myself. I really do. I like watching YouTube. I like watching, Philip McKnight and some of the other guys that do what I consider awesome content on YouTube. And I found myself really going crazy with my guitar reviews, completely tearing the guitar apart, going over every aspect of it. And then if you have a channel, you can go in, you can look at your analytics, and the analytics will tell you how much time the person actually watched the video. Well, my 1.5 hour videos were getting 30 minutes tops as what was actually being viewed. So I really had to sit and think, is it really worth everything? I think it is. When you guys post and you say, man, I love your review, I bought this guitar and your review is spot on, that's what I really try to do. The issue is, let's say I buy this guitar, okay? All right, I've been wanting to do a review on this guitar for some time. I didn't because the neck on the guitar, it was just going crazy. I would pick the guitar up and the neck would be bowed this way, and I'd make an adjustment on the neck. I'd wait a week, I'd come back, it would be fine. I might not play the guitar and I'd review another guitar and pick it up 2 or 3 weeks later. And again, the neck was out of adjustment. Everything would just go screwy with the guitar. It's an awesome guitar, but it wasn't stable. I almost just sold the guitar because it was just not responding. In the last 2 or 3 months, though, the guitar is either acclimated to my home or something's taken place because I haven't adjusted the neck on the guitar and now it's holding tune. It's a great player. It truly is a great playing guitar. And I really had to stop and think, when I do reviews and I unbox this guitar and I do a setup, someone else purchases the guitar and they might have the issue that I had with this $1,000 guitar. Maybe the neck just starts going crazy on it and they're like, well, this guy gave me a review and he didn't say anything about the neck having a problem. Most of my reviews, I say I've had the guitar X amount of time, if I'm not doing an unboxing. Those reviews I really feel more confident about because I had the guitar for a while. I've been able to play it. I get to know the ins and outs of the guitar. Some of the Firefly reviews I did, some of the Volgoa, I even did a PV review where I unbox the guitar and just right out of the gate do a review on it. I don't really know if it's fair, to do a guitar that way. I don't know if it was housed in some cold, warehouse somewhere, and then it's in the UPS truck, like now it's cold out. So the guitar is shrinking in the box and then it comes in your house. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm really struggling with the YouTube thing. I'm just being honest with you. I have a guitar right here, that box. And there is a story behind that. A subscriber sent me that guitar probably 4 months ago. And I feel so bad. The guitar is literally still in the box, unopened, and I've yet to open it up and start the video. It seems like every time I go to start, something else happens. Everyone says, well, I've got a life, I've got to work, I've got to do this. The past 3 months have been very difficult. It's been difficult to do reviews. So my goal this week was really to start the review of that guitar for that subscriber and get that guitar back to him. I'm sure that he wants me to do other work to it. He wanted me to review the guitar, see what it needed, and I'm sure I will do a full setup on it. I just got a message here. It says, you just need to find your niche. I thought my niche was tearing the guitar apart and really doing a detailed review. Sometimes you guys notice I always say this isn't a demo channel. I'm a decent guitar player. I'm not near the guitar player. I see some of these guys on YouTube, man, they can just rip on a guitar. They really can. And they show you this guitar and they're ripping on it. And it's like, my gosh, that dude can play. I can't really play like that. So I tried to take my woodworking skills and my AutoCAD skills and my programming of CNC machines that I do for a living and apply that to the guitars, go over the fit and finish, the build quality of the guitar. A setup, you can take any guitar. If it's set up right, it's going to play decent. I've got a $200 Firefly here. Let me switch it. You guys have probably seen the guitar. This guitar I keep out. It's a Firefly. And I did a whole series when I first started the channel on doing this guitar. This guitar actually stays up on my wall there just because it's such a great guitar. I love this guitar. Hey, Short Bus, what's going on, man? It's a great guitar. 99% of the time, you can buy one of these budget guitars and do a good setup on it, and it's going to be a good instrument. This guitar was not. It had bad frets. It was actually, I think, my first guitar review, and I said how horrible this guitar was. And I really, at the time, I wasn't going to buy any more Fireflies, and everyone kept saying, you know, I bought this Firefly and it's great. So I gave them another shot, and it come out to be, after I reviewed so many of the guitars, Firefly is probably the best budget guitar that this channel's continuously reviewed. I've reviewed some of the guitars that weren't too good. But on average, their guitar for $200, $230, they're just stupid good for that price point. This one was not. And it's funny that I took their worst guitar. This is the worst guitar I've ever received from them. And it turned out to be my best guitar. It really turned out to be the best guitar with that badging on it that I still keep. I have not sold this guitar. I do have it listed for sale locally. And it got a few nibbles here and there when I first posted it, but it's been pretty much dead for the last 2 months when people are asking about it. So I haven't really worried too much about selling it. The issue is reviewing all the guitars that I reviewed last year takes a tremendous amount of money. You got to pay for the guitar, the shipping, then I have to do the review. And then if someone wants to buy it, they usually want me to modify the guitar and then, you know, ship it to them. And that's really the only way I can continue doing the reviews is to have the guitar sold beforehand. So the last really 2.5, 3 months, I've been selling off a lot of the guitars that we reviewed last year. And that's putting some money back in the bank to where we can start reviewing guitars again. It got to the point where there was like 30 or 40 guitars here. And that's just too many guitars. Well, I know people have that many guitars. I don't need 30 or 40 guitars. I have too many guitars. Too many guitars that I don't really want to sell. But I really need to thin the herd, as they say, and get down to a particular group of guitars and start playing something that I have a frame of reference to. That was something else that I noticed. I started losing my frame of reference on reviewing these guitars because I played this guitar for 3 weeks. Then I went to another guitar. I played that guitar for 3 weeks. And I play another guitar for 3 weeks. And I found myself not having a reference to really, is this a good guitar? Or was the guitar I was playing the last 3 weeks just awful? I got used to it. And then I pick up a Firefly or Leo Jaymz or something. It's like, man, this thing is great. Well, the last 3 weeks I've been playing a POS. So I need to get back to a frame of reference to where I know this is a quality instrument. This is the instrument I'm going to play on my spare time. When I pick up one of these guitars, I'm going to reference that to, you know, my two. This seems to be my go-to guitar here lately. It has everything that I like. Let me hang this one back up real quick. This guitar has everything that I like. It's an ebony fingerboard. It has the Seymour Duncan JB pickup in it. You can say what you want about the JB being old school. It's solid pickup. And this is two JBs. Okay. It's got a nice Floyd Rose tremolo. It's not the cheap soft metal one. It's just a solid instrument. Yes, I did sell the Zakk Wylde guitar. That guitar, I thought, for the price point, was a great guitar. The issue that, if you watched, or you obviously watched the video, that guitar should have never come to me with the grounding issue that it had. Again, I know they're budget guitars. That's how come you're saving money. You know, the guitar is mass produced. It's what's called a fast guitar. They're made fast, sold fast. Even at that rate, Firefly has been selling guitars long enough to where they should have someone checking just the basics. So when that guitar was plugged in and checked, it was obvious there was a grounding issue. So it was obviously not checked, just put in the box and sent out. Let me see. Well, that's good. I love Firefly. I really think they're a good company. I know they have never reached out to me and offered a guitar to me. I always qualify, you know, my reviews. I don't hide anything. You guys know that. I take the neck, if I could take the neck off the guitar. The LPs I couldn't. It's a set neck. But I'll take the neck off the guitar. I look at the pocket, you know, I look at the general fit and finish. And everyone says that I'm too picky. And I am being picky for a $250 or $300 guitar. But I'm being picky so you guys that don't have the instrument can kind of get an idea. Okay, at $250, what's he seeing? Can I live with these defects? Is the fingerboard to the neck here, is this a smooth transition? Is the neck pocket nice, clean, routed? Is there gaps? You know, is there misplaced routering where they move the router and there's a skip mark? Is there finish issues? Is the pockets and the pickups good? Or like the Leo Jaymz I did, you could grab the pickup and they just flopped around. Little things like that. Yeah, it's a $200 guitar. But when you see a video, you go, okay, he had these issues. I can fix that. And I know he's saying it plays good. I can fix the wobbling pickups. I can fix the neck pocket or the neck angle. That's what I shoot for. So you know what you're getting. Now, keep in mind, this is just one guitar. Maybe I got a bad one or maybe I got a good one. I think about that too. Maybe I got a good one. I pray I get the bad one because it's worst case scenario. And then people go, well, this guy's a shill. He's not telling me what I'm really getting. So I really try to qualify it that way. Let me got one more. Hey, Mike. There's the moderator of the channel. So everyone be straight because Mike's in the house. Yeah, I hope they did watch it, and I hope that they correct the issue, and I hope Firefly will reach out to me. I know that there's a couple other channels that get Firefly guitars. I'm not saying their reviews are bad. I do a different kind of review, and maybe that kind of steers them away from my channel because of the type of reviews that I do. So I've been thinking that I need to scale down how I do things. I need to do things a little simpler. Maybe, I hate to say, become more of a demo channel, even though I'm not a great guitar player, but maybe I could just do more of a demo type review and still go over the particulars. Maybe not necessarily take the neck off the guitar, look at the boring, give you guys the radius of the neck, the thickness of the frets, pickup readings, and general playability and general fit and finish without getting into, how's the machining done on the instrument, how's the neck pocket. If you want something like that, maybe we could just put something at the end of the video. Hey, we really like this, but we need to know how well it's constructed. Can you take the guitar apart and really look at it? Nowadays, everything's done on the CNC. So if I get a guitar and they've chiseled into the neck pocket, odds are they're chiseling into all of them because they were done on a CNC. They zero point it, they put it on the node, wherever zero is, that block of wood's machined out. It's going to do every one of those blanks exactly the same. So if there's an issue on one, odds are there's going to be an issue on every body or every neck that's cut. I have another typed message. I'd say instead of doing one really long video, break it up into parts, finish one at a time and pick up. Yeah, I thought about that. I thought about that as well, breaking it into parts. Maybe just do a general video, like a demo video, fit and finish and play it, and then come back and do, I don't want to use the Philip McKnight term, but I know other people do a deep dive on it, where you tear the instrument apart. I thought about that as well. I've tried not to sell off the guitars that did not get reviewed. If you guys look back in the chat, there's Short Bus Captain. He just picked up one of my guitars. So Short Bus, if you're still in here, Mike with the blue wrench, that guitar come from Mike. And Mike, I apologize. I said I was going to do a comparison video between that guitar and the Les Paul. I guess I can do that right now. For $260, the Firefly Les Paul with the Floyd Rose tremolo. I believe Mike can join in here. He can, I don't remember if that was a first production run or a second production run of that guitar. I will say this, Short Bus is a friend of mine, and he just started learning guitar. And I know what everyone's saying, holy mackerel, you sold a beginner a guitar with a Floyd Rose on it. I told him to do a fixed bridge, but he wanted a Floyd Rose. So he's learning with a Floyd Rose based guitar. And with a beginner, he's had the guitar now 2 weeks. The guitar is still freaking in tune. Now, I did do a basic setup on it because the bridge was arced way up on the guitar. I did a basic setup. I just set the springs, set the action height, loosened the nut, made sure all the tuners were on the bridge to where he could retune the instruments. He is starting out, and then locked it. It's been 2 weeks, and it has not been tuned. And before I did this live stream, we live streamed together on Skype, and the guitar is still in tune. It's not perfect, but it's really close to being, it was highly impressive how well that Firefly Les Paul with the Floyd Rose has stayed in tune. Everyone knows beginners strike the strings, they're not calm with them. They're learning how to play. So they're striking the strings harder. It's more, I'm not going to say abusive on the guitar, but they're not necessarily muting the strings. It's more of a strum type thing. The guitar has really impressed me as far as that. I had the guitar for about 4 or 5 months, and I'd play it every so often. Is it the Epiphone quality? No, it is not. It lacks the tones. It lacks the phase switching, the coil splitting, the eased fingerboard around here. The Epiphone is more eased. It's more broken in feeling. The tremolo just works a little smoother. Now let's keep in mind we're comparing a $1,300 Epiphone Alex license model to a $260 Firefly. It's almost not fair. The Epiphone is a superior guitar to the Firefly, without a doubt. Can you make that Firefly as good as the Epiphone for less money? I believe you can. I believe if you went into that Firefly model and you put nice Barnes pots in it, and you put a nice set of Seymour Duncans, something that's designed to have the coil split, and you change the base plate on that Firefly Floyd Rose copy bridge. That one did have the first production run where Floyd Rose was selling the block and using the Chinese bass before they actually farmed everything out. You know, put the 1000 bass on it, maybe change the saddles, and the guitar would be right up there with Epiphone. I really don't think you can go at $260. You can't go wrong with the Firefly model. Now, keep in mind the nut at the top. It is a softer metal, and they do strip if you tighten them down too much. So I would replace the nut, replace the base plate on it, and then find springs that work well for you. The Epiphone has nailed it. It's a perfect spring. It's just set up right out of the box. So if you don't like tinkering on a guitar and you want a LP with a Floyd Rose bridge that's just spot on, the Alex license model is that guitar. Not to take anything away from the Firefly. It's phenomenal for $260. Let me read some of the chat here. Well, thank you, Dean. I appreciate that. I really do try to do the most complete reviews. We've kind of stepped away from it for a little while. And if more people join, I'll get more into that. Well, I guess we can do it. I don't want to shun anyone here. I love your in-depth analysis on your guitars. Yeah, I hear that a lot. I guess I need to stick with that. I think, like everyone's saying, I'm the only one that does it. My issue is just time. And the lady has just pulled up here and she's looking at her phone, so I'm thinking, go ahead and talk. I can't.
Read Bryce Jackson's comment.
Bryce Jackson.
He's one of your more unique fans.
Oh, wow. Bryce Jackson. She's told me to read your comment here. You're down a little further than where I was at. I couldn't imagine having that and learning guitar. You would probably have, it's like any other sense. If you take one of those away, your other senses are on 100%. So your ears are probably spot on. Once you learn the noting and the phrasing and your ear hears that, you're going to capitalize on not having one of those senses. There was someone type in there was a piano player, a keyboard player that was blind, and he was just phenomenal on the keyboard. And his whole thing was, well, since I don't have this sense, my other senses have taken his sense of touch and his sense of hearing made him just a phenomenal keyboard player. So I can't, me personally, I have all my senses, so I can't imagine learning that way, but I know people do it. That's incredible, man. And I appreciate you listening in. Like you put everything and describe what you're doing. It gives me great detail. And Mike says the Firefly was a first production run. So with everything Firefly, or Firefly sometimes are good. They have 3 different vendors is what I've been kind of seeing. So if one vendor isn't necessarily able to produce the guitar, I have seen them switch vendors. And I always wonder if the vendors are doing the same quality. I do know I sold the guitar, and I said I wasn't going to sell it because it's probably one of the best Fireflies I've ever gotten. It was an access cut LP with a purple finish, and it had the sandblasted ash top on it. My gosh, that guitar played like butter. That guitar played as good as my Gibson or my Epiphone Alex license. It needed a little pickup tweaking to get it up to the same level. But man, that guitar, I can't describe how well that guitar played right out of the box. That one and my purple, again, it had the ash sandblasted body. So I'm assuming the same vendor made both guitars. Top-notch playing and fret leveling on both of those guitars. Awesome. Let me get back. I have the guitar with the original Floyd Rose and another guitar with a Floyd Rose Special. The Floyd Rose Special bends down easily and the original press down. Both have 3 springs. Okay, you've got a ton of different options on springs. If you look, if you like the softer feel and you have the Floyd Rose Special or the original, go to Fender and look at the Fender coated black springs. They work well with the Floyd Rose, and it's a softer feel. Usually it's not going to be an issue with the base plate or one being a special or one being original. It's the springs they're using. So when I do setups on guitars, I think I've said it in a bunch of videos. I have the red springs, green springs, black springs, which are Floyd Rose. And then I have Fender springs. So I'll have the silver, the gold, the black. And then I have some other springs made by, I think, Music Lily and a couple. They're all gauged differently. The problem when you start changing springs, it starts changing the angle of the bridge, how it sets back. So you got to get the guitar set up properly and then play with it. See if you like the pressure. And the sad thing of it is you're probably going to lose strings. It's not something that I can sit there and say, well, put this spring in it. What you feel is soft may be softer than what I like. I can say if you like a soft feel, I've found the Fender springs work really well on the Floyd Rose. The black coated springs that Floyd Rose makes, they're nice. I think they're a little stiffer than the standard Floyd Rose spring. And they have a chart. If you go online, I know the green is stiffer than the black. So you might want to start playing around with different springs. I would keep with the 3 springs. And I know a lot of people do the 2 outside springs and they take them in. When I do setups, I always bring them parallel. If I'm on the outside hole, I go to the outside hole in the bridge and I keep the strings, the 3 springs parallel. That's just me. I find that they seem to hold tune a little better when they're parallel, but a lot of people angle them in. You know, the center spring is straight and the 2 outside ones tilt in. I can't say if it's better or worse. I've just seemed to have better results when they're all parallel to the bridge. So maybe try some black Fender springs if you want something softer. If you want something firmer, maybe go to the black coated Floyd Rose springs, and it'll give you a little bit firmer feel. Hopefully that helps. Yeah, now at the end it says it's the original. Both have 3 springs in the triangle. if you bring them out parallel, try that first. I have tried to do combinations on springs, like two blacks and a green Floyd Rose. When I first put them together, I usually like it. But then when I go back to it and I play it more, I usually end up taking the oddball spring out. I've never kept a guitar with different ratio springs on it. It seems like, oh yeah, it worked. I like it. And then I'll play it maybe a month. And then I always seem to go back to either all greens, all blacks, all Fenders, all Music Lily. But I have in videos where I'll put a green spring in just to kind of stiffen it. And you're kind of cheating because the one stiffer spring is taking more of the load than the softer ones. What you're trying to do is you're trying to find something stiffer than the softer springs and not as stiff as the one solid stiff spring you put in. So it's better to find something that's equal. All three springs have the same ratio as far as their deflection on how they compress and how they react. You want the three to be consistent. And oh, Jeff Healy was that dude could play a guitar. Wow. Yeah, Jeff Healy was awesome. Yeah, played with the. I've watched that guy and the way he fingers the fingerboard. He's an incredible guitar player. Again, that's how he picked the instrument up, and that's how he learned it. For people like me that learned conventional, we look at that and go, how in the world does he do that? You know, that's how he learned from the get-go. And that also gave him a really unique sound, the way he played the guitar, the way he bent the strings, because his playing position was so different than ours. So I think that was a lot of his tone. What was it? Johnny Winter. Yeah, I heard that about his eyesight on Johnny Winter. Yeah. Well, just so I don't know how this is going to sound because I don't think I've ever actually done a live stream and actually played, but I've been playing with my guitar amp and I've been trying to get a little bit better sound out of my rig. And I do not have my power amp on, so I'm going to need to warm up the power amp. The preamp's on. I just forgot to turn on the power amp. And I have no idea whether or not it's going to be loud enough. You guys can tell me if that's too loud or not loud enough. So that's what I've been working on. I am still using the ART. Okay. Now I am running a Friedman BEDLX preamp. It is the Synergy rack mount module, and I did a video on it a long time ago. It got very few views. Evidently, not too many people are into the rack mount equipment. Most of my amplifier is rack mount, so I thought the Synergy system would be something that I could, add to my system. So basically, I'm using the ART now just as a digital signal processor for my reverb and my delays. I'm still using the AMR tube sweetener. I am still using the BBE processor, and I'm still using the 6L6 Pro Valve Butler power amplifier. But I've been trying to tune the Friedman to get more of an 80s, 90s tone. More volume. Let me give it just a little bit more volume. They're saying just up a little bit. Let's try that. Yeah, it's most likely this is a very basic setup, guys. I have a Logitech webcam, and I'm literally using the microphone in the Logitech webcam. I don't have, like a lot of YouTubers, when they're doing these demos, they're going through, I forget what it's called. It allows them, it's like a computer interface, and they can plug their instruments directly into that, and then it goes right into recording. And then they can take the audio and then the video, which is, you can see right behind me here. That's my camera. I'm still using GoPros. I have 3 of these GoPros, and then to keep them cool, because the GoPro cameras get hot, I use an external battery pack. Pull the battery out of the GoPro, and then you have to use a USB-C on both ends from the battery pack to the camera. And that's how come I can get about an hour and a half of use out of the camera before it goes into thermal. If you watch some of my earlier videos, I've always had problems with overheating. And this was the fix, using external batteries for the GoPros. And then I also have another spotlight right here. And then this is my main light. And I do have 2 of them on 2 stands. So I'm not using any interfaces on my reviews. What the guitar tone that you guys hear on my guitar reviews are the 2 GoPros. I'm not using, usually I'm not using anything. I'm just using the built-in microphone in the GoPro. You're hearing exactly what's in the room. I'm using the room to do a lot of correction. So it's not, I'm not using any cabinet simulation into, into an interface then being recorded. It's an open microphone in an open room. It's as straightforward as you can possibly get. I know a lot of guys are running $2,000 or $3,000 cameras. These cameras are like $300 a piece. It's what I can afford. The multiple views, I have one really cheap camera. And this is my cheapest camera. It's an old GoPro 8. And that's usually what I use when you get the overhead shots of the guitar. Anything that's overhead, it's usually the GoPro 8, or zoomed in on the electronics, where I've got the boom out over the stand. That's usually the GoPro 8. It seems to work for me. It takes a lot of time to do the editing because I'm using 3 different cameras. But I try to do the best editing that I can possibly do to give it a professional result. Just me doing this live stream, I've kept it simple. It's a Logitech camera with the built-in microphone. So it probably has some kind of gate that's built into the microphone, or it's in the computer. because this is the guitar you're saying it starts out loud and then cuts. I don't know how much of that tone that you guys can hear, but I'm pretty much settled on that for doing my new reviews. I had some comments, why are you still using a 16-bit ART, processor? It may be 30 years old, but it has played many, many bars back in the day, and it was top-notch equipment. You talk to somebody that's got an old Fender Twin Reverb from 1968, it did what it did well, and it still does that well. People go, oh, I've got a black-faced Twin Reverb. You got one heck of an amplifier. It's a clean monster. It's 100 watts of just cut your head off clean Fender. That's what it is. The Twin Reverb is just a monster amplifier, and it is clean all the way up to 100 watts. They're just monsters. The ART, it was a monster at what it did. It did 80s hair rock and the early grunge stuff really well. It doesn't do the new stuff that well. It's not a dual rectifier type amplifier. So I wanted to do a little bit more of an update, maybe give it more of a Marshall sound. So I did the Friedman, it's the BDLX, and I also have the Sedano Slow. And I like the Sedano. That's more of like a hot rodded Marshall tone. But I've really fallen in love with the Friedman sound. It's mean sounding. It's got a nice attack. It's got sustain. That's saying something. If you listen, I'm not turning my volume down. I watch a lot of people go live, and their amplifier is just so unruly. It's so noisy in the background. I'm getting that sustain even with my noise gate, and the noise gate isn't cutting off. I hear the amplifier, I hear the buzz. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but it's not cut your head off noisy. It is making noise. And I am running a noise gate, but the gate's not on right there. So I don't know what you all think of the new tone, or if it's coming through, but that's what I've been working on for a little while. Let me cut the power amplifier off. Yeah, I definitely need to get an external microphone. And basically, everyone's good at certain things, and computers and webcasting and stuff like that. That's something I'm really not that good with. I have a lot of equipment here that I'm sure that that would really help me get an external microphone and then figure out how to get the YouTube to recognize it when you do the setup. It allows you to change microphones. Most likely, I'm going to have to get some type of interface in the future to allow me to do that. Right now, I have no interface, no nothing. And that's the reason I'm using the Logitech. Yeah, it's got to be something, Mike, with the built-in Logitech microphone. It's got to be cutting the signal. And again, I'm a newbie this is only this channel's second live stream. So really haven't dove into the YouTube and what I can and can't do. It is something that I thought about doing once a week. If people want to come in and actually hang out, we could do it once a week and just talk. But I don't want to be the one sitting here talking all the time. I've seen some other channels that have 4 people and they're all talking back and forth, and you can see the 4 people. How they're doing that, I don't know. I would like to start a weekly thing once a week and at least have 2 or 3 people engaging in conversation. And there was a show that I was watching this past 2 weeks ago. I'm in Northern Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. And everyone knows the chaos that's been going on up in New Jersey. There was a channel that he was letting people just call in, and somehow their face and everything, the audio was coming right in on the live stream. And I don't know how he was doing. I'm sure there's some kind of software or how he got it set up in YouTube. But there was like 20 or 30 different people that just came in and they could talk and chat and you could see them. I think that would be freaking awesome. How he was doing it, I have no clue. Yeah, the Kramer's a beast. Now, this is a Kramer too. Now, this is a monster. Believe me. This is not an original Beretta. This is the re-release Beretta that they're still making right now. This guitar, it's a shred machine. It really is. But both of them are. I'm more of a dark fingerboard player. And earlier in the video, I showed a Firefly, an FFMN. Guitar plays awesome. I mean, it stays out here because it plays so good, but it is a maple fingerboard. And I have found that I have really starting to figure out what I just bond with. And I bond with ebony. Ebony for me is just the bee's knees. I love ebony. Second would be rosewood. And I just picked up a guitar, and you guys are, I'm all about budget guitars. I'm going to show you a budget guitar that is just really freaking blowing my mind. I know I was talking about Firefly earlier, but this guitar, you guys need to pay attention to this one. This thing's awesome. I'm going to grab it off the wall right here. This is a Squire. And I can't tell you how much fun I have been playing. And this thing's a weird guitar. It's like a Telecaster down here, Telecaster, but it's got the center pickup like a Strat. And this thing plays stupid good. I mean, it plays stupid good. It was purchased from my local guitar shop, Shenandoah Music. And they have a tech there. Hon, do you remember his name? I don't remember his name. There's only one person I will let touch one of my guitars. That isn't me. And that's the guy that works at Shenandoah Music. The dude got magic fingers. He's truly a he can set a guitar up. A lot of music stores, they don't have good techs. He's been with Shenandoah for years. He's just a phenomenal technician. So I don't know if he set this guitar up before they put it out on the floor or not. It definitely plays phenomenal. The pickups in the guitar, I'm going to tell you right now, I believe are a little microphonic. But I'm going to say something that you probably won't agree with. I believe part of the tone that I'm really liking on this guitar is the fact that they are just a little microphonic. It just has a sound, and it's the single coil, but it just has a sound. And I've had the guitar now for about 3 weeks, and I've been playing this guitar and the Kramer. And remember what I said earlier, I was losing a frame of reference. I've been playing the Kramer straight now for 2 months. Just, that's the guitar I've been practicing on, practice. I've been playing on the Kramer. It's a phenomenal guitar. So if I use this guitar as a frame of reference, this guitar is a winner. I can go from this guitar to this guitar and not feel that it needs fretwork. I saw a review, 2 reviews on YouTube on this guitar, and they said the frets were scratchy. When I first picked it up, I felt a little bit of scratch, but I've been playing it now 2 or 3 weeks, and I don't feel any scratch whatsoever in the frets. I have not went through with a fret rocker and checked every fret on this guitar. I literally brought it home, plugged it in, just started jamming on it. It doesn't choke out anywhere when I'm playing it. So I'm assuming if there is a bad fret somewhere, it's going to be very minimum because it plays phenomenal. Right now, I saw it's a local shop. They have it on sale. So I quickly went online. It seemed like everybody has this guitar on sale right now for $325, $329. If you want this type of instrument, for $329, you can't go wrong. If you watch my Strat videos, I don't keep a Stratocaster for one reason: the volume knob. As I'm playing, I hit the volume knob. I think this Stratocaster may stay here. I've yet to hit the volume knob and have the standard Strat problem. As I'm playing the guitar, I don't have that issue. Normally the volume is like right in here. I love Strats. I love the way they play. I just have issues with the volume knob. And I saw this thing and I'm like, oh my gosh, this might be a Strat that I actually keep. Most Strats don't stay here long. 6 months and I get frustrated and I sell them. So we'll see how long this one stays. But if you guys can see this thing, it's a beautiful guitar. I'm assuming that this is a Indian Laurel fingerboard. It's too light to be rosewood. The tuning keys feel nice on the guitar. They don't feel notchy. And it's the old school, like the Kusan style. It does have a high gloss back finish on the neck. And at first I thought I wouldn't like that. But it doesn't seem to be getting sticky. Of course, I don't play out live anymore, so I'm not under the lights. But it is a high gloss back on the neck. So if you got sweaty palms and you're in front of the lights, most likely this neck would get sticky on you. And you could hit that with some double 4/aught steel wool, knock that polish off, hit it with tried and true, and you would never have a problem with it. I haven't done it. You can see it's still got the super shiny neck. But if anyone was on the fence on this particular Squire, it's a solid instrument. I've been playing the you-know-what out of this. And it's got the furls on the back, so it's string-through back. Just I can't say enough about it. Now, granted, I know it's a little more money than what the Firefly is going for. But a lot of the Fireflies at $260, there seems to be something that you need to fix on the guitar, whether it's the tuning keys or the nut or something else. There's nothing I would change on this guitar. I would take it out and just and play it. Like I said, I do think the pickups are a little microphonic. When I'm playing it here, I haven't had a problem with it. I run it up to about 102 dB in the room, and the feedback from the amp going into the pickups gives it a really cool tone. On stage, you might have a feedback issue. I'm not sure. If anyone has it, maybe let me know. And the significant other has poked her head out of the kitchen, so there's something going on.
Bryce Jackson wants to know what type of streets do you use, like gauge and brand?
What is it on?
What type of, it says what type of, I think it's supposed to be what type of strings do you use, like gauge and brand?
On the strings. I need to catch up on the comments. Yeah, on the Discord video call, that's what I was thinking too, Daniel. Assault 220. The Assault 220, that's the Kramer Les Paul with the Floyd Rose special. I haven't played one personally, but I've been trying to find one. I think the headstock on that Assault 220 is different than the Kramer that I did a review on. I did the review on the Kramer LP with the bandana headstock. I still have that guitar. Phenomenal playing guitar. If they make that guitar with an ebony or rosewood fingerboard, I will sell the one I have and get that one. But I like the one I have. Yes, that's a Nashville. Yes, that is that guitar that I just played is a Nashville Tele. It's great. Never been a fan of the Tele style shapes. It would be a good compromise. Actually, it has a Tele twang to it, but it also, it's kind of hard to explain. It's got the smack of a Stratocaster too. It's a cool instrument, especially on high gain settings. That bridge pickup and the bridge to center pickup, you get some pretty mean Tele tones and Strat sounds out of it. Bruce, I have been beating back and forth on string. Bryce, yeah, Bryce. I've been beating that back and forth. This is just some guy that programs CNC machines and does AutoCAD for a living. So this is just my personal thoughts on it. Where is my?
He wants to know what type of strings and gauge.
Yeah, the strings I've been using. This is what I have been using. And it's the it's the Diodario NYXL. And before I go too far on the Diodario NYXLs, I'm going to I just went to the music store and I picked up 3 different brands of strings that I want to try. And the reason I'm saying this on the Diodario NYXLs, and again, I want to qualify, I think these strings are a little abusive on my frets. Now, granted, I play pretty aggressively. I have a PV Nitro Active that I played for many, many years, and the frets are pretty chewed up on that guitar. But I played that guitar for years. The past 3 years, I've been playing the Diodario NYXLs. It seems like they're digging into the frets a little bit. Like they're more. I don't know if it's the material they're using. I don't know if these are plated, but I think they're eating the frets more so than other strings. But I have been using the Diodario NYXLs. But I just picked up a set. I don't even know how you pronounce this. ELIXIR. Elixir. They told me that these are good strings, and they're 9 to 42s, just like the D'Addario NYXLs. I usually play 9 to 42s. If you're using a 24.75 scale length, you can get away going to a 4610. The shorter scale length, you can bend the strings a little more, so you can go up a gauge. But I normally stick with the 9 to 42s. I've never played this brand, this new brand. We're going to see. I also picked up the old tried and true Ernie Ball Super Slinkies. These things are inexpensive, and the guitar player I played with for years, a gentleman named Mike Baker. I don't know if Mike is still alive or what. I haven't seen him in years. He swore by these strings. That's all he would play. I do remember Mike sweated a lot. We played, pretty loud bars, lights. And I remember these strings corroding pretty quickly on his guitars. But he also sweated a lot. But I bought a set of them, and I'm going to try them out. I'm going to stick them on a guitar and see what they do. These are the Ernie Ball Super Single. Again, 9 to 42s. Picked a set of those up. I also picked up another set of D'Addarios, but these are just the XLs. I don't know. These are 9 to 42s. And the XL D'Addarios, if you guys can see, they were $7 at Shenandoah Music. The Ernie Ball Super Slinkies, they were $7 as well. And the Elixirs, they were a little more. They were $11.99. That's what I paid at Shen. I don't get a discount there. I just know those guys. I think they're good guys, and I try to support my local store. And I don't remember how much I paid for the D'Addario NYXLs. I think these are right around 10 or $11 as well. I want to find something. I did get a set of Stringjoy strings, and I believe this guitar right here. It's a Kramer Beretta. I'm pretty sure I put the Stringjoy strings on this one. I really like the string. I just have a hard time spending $19 on a set of strings. That's pretty pricey. They do not seem to be corroding though. They've been on the guitar for about 4 or 5 months. They still have good tone. So maybe in the long run, the Stringjoy strings are worth that kind of money. I'm pretty sure that's the guitar. They were either put on this guitar or this guitar. One of those two. I just don't remember which one. I should probably put some blue tape on the back when I'm going through my experiment on all these different, because I'm going to end up forgetting what string I put on what guitar. But the Stringjoy seems to be a good set of strings if you want to try those. I will say the NYXLs, they're pretty bright, easy to get harmonics out of them. There's something that's telling me they're eating frets more so than my other strings that I've used in the past. The string that I used the most were cold blue steels, and I believe they were made by Ernie Ball. I think they were just called cold blue steels. I got tons of stickers on my old guitar case when we played out, and it's cold blue steel. I don't think you can get that string anymore. They were cryo frozen or something. It was supposed to make a difference. But I played those for 20 some years. Trucker Bob, I see you. Hey, Trucker Bob. I've been yakking and I'm not reading the comments. Yeah, we're gonna start doing something. Even if you guys like this kind of stuff where we just sit and chat, I will definitely need to get the significant other to read comments, because if you watch my videos, you know I got a squirrel brain, so I can't talk and read comments at the same time. So I'll let her read the comments, and then she can just, you know, tell me what it is. So my little squirrel, it's like squirrel, so I can stay in tune with what's going on. Trigger Bob says he's using the String Joys. Yeah, the set that like I said, it's on one of these two guitars. I like them. As far as wear on the frets and stuff like that, this is my first set. I just know I got a feeling the Diodarios, I've been using them long enough. It seems like when I do a fret job and I clean up the frets, it seems like after about 8 or 9 months, after 2 or 3 string changes, I can see the scarring across the fret. And we're talking nickel frets. Most of my guitars that I play full time are nickel frets. I have very few guitars that I play a lot that have the stainless steel. I find the stainless steel frets, stainless steel saddles, give you a brighter tone. Playing the kind of music I play, that's probably not a bad thing. I did the modification on the one guitar and put stainless steel saddles on, and I instantly heard the guitar got a little brighter. On the frets, I'll be honest with you, I don't think I noticed too much of a difference in the brightness on the frets. Definitely heard a difference when I went to stainless steel saddles, though. It is definitely brighter. Yeah, I guess it's JOOP, Jupe 5000, says he uses the Ernie balls 9 to 42s, no problems. Like I said, I played with a guy for years, and he loved the Super Slinkies. They were an inexpensive string. He had several cases, several boxes of the strings in his case. He didn't care if he broke one. I think he went through them about every 2 weeks. He'd put new strings on his guitar. Now, I will say Mike sweated a lot, and he had the kind of sweat that turned the back of the guitar neck black from the salt in his sweat when we played. It was corrosive, almost like an acid. So he went through guitar strings, and I was constantly taking something and cleaning up the back of the neck, but eventually it just gets stained from the sweat from him playing. So that might not be a good frame of reference, because Mike really did sweat a lot. And Daniel says, I have to find it, but I saw some brand of strings that gives you an extra high E string in the pack. Yeah, there was another brand that used to do that too, back years ago. I don't remember what brand it was. It wasn't the Cold Blue Steels, but I do remember that from 20 or 30 years ago. There was a company that did that. It makes sense. And the moderator, I've been building a custom Diodario balance set based on String Joy sets. 9, 12, 15, 24, 32, and 42. So on which is it you're saying? The Diodario. So let's look at the Diodario. This 9 to 42 set. Let's see what it says here on the. So this is 9, 11, 16, 24, and 32. So you're changing the B. Yeah. What? That's not too bad. So it's just the B and the G. Yeah. String Joy's balanced tension sets. I don't know. Do they have a couple different types of strings, Mike? I don't remember which String Joy. I'm big on local music stores. We drove to Harrisonburg, Virginia. That's not too local for me, but it is Virginia. So we were down there goofing off, and of course, you know me, I got to find the local music store. So Went into this music store in Harrisonburg, and that's where I picked up my new 6L6 tubes for my power amp. And while I was in there, I picked up some Stringjoy strings. So that's where this set of strings come from. So I don't know if they've got a couple different versions. I don't know if I had the balanced tension sets or not. I'm not sure. But the 9, 12, 15, so you're going a little lighter and a little heavier. I can kind of see the B going to 12 would be cool. I think that would definitely, I think that would be a good move. And then going to the 50. See, I would probably do 9, 12, 16. I think I would, I don't know. That would be one that you'd have to do a side-by-side comparison on it. I think a lot of it would have to do with the kind of music that you're playing. Me, I'm stuck in the 80s. If you can play hair metal on it, then I'm all about it. Found it. It's Roto Sound strings. Thinks they are UK based, never used them, just an idea, is interesting. Never heard of that brand. Roto Sound. Based out of the UK. Well, Stringjoy is new to me. I hadn't really ever heard of Stringjoy. I was down there at the Harrisonburg music store. I was like, well, I'm going to get some different strings. And I saw it up there. And I asked the guy, I'm like, I've never heard of this brand. They're very expensive. And he saw they're great strings. I bought it. And then on the way home, it's about an hour drive. I remembered watching, he has a YouTube channel. He plays, I'm going to call it surf music. It's the craziest channel I think I've ever seen, because he does these pedal reviews and he just makes them do wild things. And when you say reverb, this dude puts so much reverb on it. It sounds like it's dripping out of the amplifier. But for surf music, I guess it's cool. Then I remembered watching his channel. I remember him talking about Stringjoy strings. If someone knows who I'm talking about, I just know that he plays a lot of surf type sounds. It does a lot of pedal reviews. I think he's got a lot of subscribers, but I think that's the gentleman. Sir, 60 cycle hum. You got it. That's it. That's who it is. There's something that just draws me to his videos. I don't know if it's the goofiness of it. But he's got a niche, and sometimes I can watch the videos and I'm like, man, that's really cool. And then other times I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's got so much reverb on, it's like dripping off the cabinet and onto the floor. Mike says Stringjoy has a nice online string tension calculator. I may have to go to their website and check that out. But see, I'm more, it's hard to, I'm more of a bridge player. You know, I've been playing the Floyd Rose bridge more lately. It is not my go-to bridge. I know you guys that see me on YouTube, you've only seen me with the Floyd Rose. And you guys can start throwing stuff at the screen now, but I'm going to say, this is my opinion, the best floating bridge tremolo ever produced is the Killer 2700. I played it for 30 years. It is just the best bridge ever built. It's solid brass. The saddles are brass. The mechanisms are brass. You don't have to cut the ball ends off the strings. It feeds right through the locking tuner piece, through the bridge, into the saddle and out the guitar. Truly a great design. The Floyd Rose, this little screw, the adjuster pushes on that screw. That's what changes the saddle. And on the cheaper Floyd Roses, that screw can warp and bend. If you look at the 2700 Killer, the whole mechanism, the whole sleeve and channel body that the locking mechanism is made on moves in the bridge. That's also the part that the Falcrum is on, that when you use the tuners here, this whole plate that's in the 2700 moves off the forward Falcrum. The forward Falcrum is based right on the saddle position of that bridge on your fine tuners. Then if you look at the fine tuner Falcrum to the Falcrum of here, they've minimized it and shortened the space versus the Floyd Rose. It also has a much flatter surface area here. You don't have this high arch. There's a very large 1.5-inch flat spot in the bridge where you can move your palm back and forth and do some muting. It took me the longest time to get used to the Floyd Rose. And I knew the time would come because the 2700 hasn't been in production for, well, I think the last year of production was '89 because Floyd Rose pretty much sued Kaler over the Falcrum Base. And that's how Floyd Rose did it. Since Kaler always did a cam-based tremolo, it used an ellipse on the cam, and as the cam moved, the ellipse would change the pitch of the string. I think that was a good system. Don't get me wrong, there was Kaler fans, there was Floyd Rose fans. The issue I had with the cam-based system, it felt very spongy. Some people liked that. They were the Kaler people. But when Kaler came out with the 2700 and went to Falcrum-based, more in line with the Floyd Rose, that's when Floyd Rose was like, no, you can't do a Falcrum-based tremolo. And I always thought that was very peculiar because Fender had the Falcrum-based 6-screw tremolo. There were so many, all tremolos were based on the Falcrum design. So somehow Floyd Rose squeaked this thing through court and won based on it being Falcrum based, but they never attacked Fender for it. So I always thought that was kind of crappy of Floyd Rose to do that. Then they forced Kaler to come out with the Spider and put licensed by Floyd Rose. I think Kaler made some improvements to the Floyd Rose system, and when they did the Spider, it just wasn't the same tremolo. It's just not the same tremolo. So here lately, the past 3 years, I've been playing the Floyd Rose. I think it's a great bridge. I can't down the bridge at all, especially the German version where the knife edges stay sharp. The specials seem to have an issue after about a year. You need to take the bridge apart, especially if you're using it a lot, clean up the knife edges. The metal's not quite as hard, so the knife edges wear on them a little more. And for anyone says it, I know Kaler had, I don't remember which one it was, but they had an issue with the knife edges too on one of their bridges. I believe it was after the Spider. And they had put retaining clips on the bottom of the bridge, and the two knife edges were replaceable. And I think they thought, hey, we'll make some money. We're going to make a bridge with replaceable knife edges. Although their first version, the knife edges were just too soft, and it just ate knife edges. Then they had problems with the saddle. So Kaler's had their fair share of problems as well. But I was more of a 2700 Killer player than anything else. And I see the chat moving, so I need to read it. Daniel says, as he's gotten older, he's moved away from the Floyd Rose. Having a great time with the Goth. Yeah, I think the Goth is the better bridge. They also have in the Goth, a lot of people don't know it, but in this screw, this adjustment screw right here, there's another screw inside of that screw. When you raise the post screw up and it's no longer sitting in the ferrule, the threaded ferrule properly, the inner screw you thread down to where it hits the base of the ferrule. and that locks the post from rolling in the bridge to keep your action height dead set. I personally have never had an issue with that with the Kalers, and I don't think I've ever had an issue with it on the Floyd Roses. And the only reason I found about it was I was watching a video with Steve Vai's guitar tech, and he said that was one of the things Vai hated, was that extra screw, because Vai wanted to take the Allen key right off the neck and make an adjustment to the bridge right in the middle of playing a song out on stage. And when Steve couldn't do it, he went back to his guitar tech. I can't make an adjustment on the fly. What's going on with this? So I know they loosened that screw out, because the Ibanez Edge and the Goth, I believe, are the exact same bridge, because the Edge uses the same post and post furl design as the Goth. Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure the Edge is a Goth based.
Mike has to step out.
Huh?
Mike has to leave.
Oh, Mike, I'm reading the tech. Well, actually, Linnell told me. So it was good seeing you again, Mike. Hit me up on Skype. I know I've been busy lately. Hit me up on Skype, and we'll have a one-to-one, and we'll start maybe trying to do something once a week. All right, man. Have a good New Year. Oh, here comes Kim. Yeah, Mike. Mr. Fats, how are you? God, I hope it isn't all AI created music. That would be awful if the future is all AI created music. Everyone knows the closest thing I could come up to that was when I was playing bars, a lot of the techno music was coming out. And I had what was known as the Korg M1. I used it in the studio along with two ADAT recorders, which used basically a VHS tape split into 8 tracks. The M1 was a game changer. Even though Yamaha had the DX7 and that changed keyboarding, the Korg M1 did the same with the sequencer and the built-in recording and the drum tones and the bass tones. It was the first time where you really didn't need a band. You could pre-record your drum tracks on the M1. The bass line and the bass ability and the sampling in the M1 at that time was just next level. And you could pretty much do the whole band thing right off the Korg M1. I have since bought, I don't know what this thing is. It's in front of the keyboard. It's an Akai. I think it's the MPC 61. I think it's a shorter keyboard than I normally play. But I know it's the Akai. This thing is stupid. It is stupid good. The sequencing and the recording that this Akai can do, it is so far better than the Korg that I had years ago. It took me about a month to figure out actually how to get it to record and play and sample and do the things that I like doing. But it is truly next level. But even past that, now they got all this AI stuff. You just say, AI, write me a country song, and it just spits out a country song. I hope that that's not the future. Granted, like I said, the M1 was a game changer, and we all thought, well, there's no sense in learning to play guitar. They've got some guy that has an M1 back there, and he's going to do the bass lines, he's going to do the guitar. And then they come out with the T3s, and then there were several other companies that come out with just game-changing keyboards. See, I had a big lapse from the M1 to the MPC. So anything in between there, guys, I'm not going to know what you're talking about. I went from the M1 to the MPC stuff. but there were other big game changers. Now you got AI. At least with the MPC and your sampling, I still think it takes a little talent, because you can't, yeah, you're stitching stuff together, but you still have to be artistic enough to know what to stitch together, how to stitch it together to create something that's listenable. With AI, I don't think that's what it's doing. I think it's just throwing a bunch of notes together that it thinks works, and it's getting scary good. From what I understand, some of this AI stuff is getting scary good. Bob says, very hard for me to enjoy your first live stream because I have that thumb that's swelled beyond belief. Hurts like a mofo. Got a dog bite. Bob, I know you want to be a mailman delivery guy, but you can't. You got to deliver things out of your big truck. That's your job. Stop trying to be the mailman. If anyone doesn't know Trucker Bob keeps America going. He's a truck driver, and those guys don't get treated fairly. And I think I've told him several times, truckers keep America rolling. Everything that you have in your house was put on a truck. It had to get, if people go, oh, trains. The train doesn't go to the grocery store. The train don't go to Lowe's. It doesn't go to Kohl's. It doesn't go to, if you live up north, it doesn't go to Meyer. It had to go from the train to a truck, or the boat to a train to a truck, or the boat to a truck. Without truckers, we don't have it. And I want to say thanks to Bob for that. You know, truckers keep us all busy. Because Lord knows I couldn't do anything at work if the plywood didn't show up. Wouldn't have anything to cut. And Daniel's got, I think the excellence of learning something new on guitar, or any instrument for that matter, will always keep a real instruments in the fold. I want to say so. I have to agree with you, Daniel. I think there's something to be said for a stringed instrument. My Akai does some pretty scary guitar sounds. You can go into the settings, and when you, let's say you're playing the A major and you go to a flat, it's actually scary how it modulates to the next note. Does it sound just like a guitar? No. But once it's in a mix, would the average person listening to pop music go, oh, that's not a guitar? I truly think that they would never pick up on it. And I know there's far more advanced keyboards and sequencers on the market than this MPC 61 from Akai. I believe this one now is right around the $2,000 price mark, something $1,600. I know Korg and Kurzweil and some of these other Yamaha have some flagship models that are in the $5,000 and $6,000 range with sequencers and built-in DATs. Just next level recording. Would they do it better? I don't know. I can't tell you. I just know the Akai does it really well. I want to pick the guitar up and play it. That's me. I want to play the guitar. That's why I still use my rack system. You know, there for a while I was chasing. I wanted a new amp. This was one of my amps that I bought. I think the amp sounded great. And notice what I just said there. Sounded. It doesn't work anymore. And when you pull this amp apart and you look at the inside of it, I took it to my local guy and he said, I'm not going to work on that thing. It's got some kind of micro components in it. And as soon as he opened it up, he said, no. BLACKSTAR's service, it's pretty much non-existent. There's 3 service hubs in Virginia that are BLACKSTAR certified. The one guy was it Richmond, hon?
I think so.
I think he was in Richmond. He was the only one that called me back. And he didn't do it full time. He did it on the weekends out of his garage. And this is BLACKSTAR's service, authorized service center. To me, that just blew my mind. I got to drive the amp 2.5 hours away from home to find some guy that will actually work on it. I'm not fixing it. I know it's $1,000 amplifier. I took it apart myself, and I'm looking at it going, I'm just not going to mess with it. The amp's only 2.5 years old, and I really didn't use it that much. And I think the last time I used it, I think it was the Joyo American distortion pedal review I did. And I changed settings, went to plug back into the amplifier, and it was dead. You can barely hear it in the background. And I was kind of hoping it was just an input jack, but it's not the input jack. My local tech is a authorized Marshall dealer. And he opened it up, and he said it's in the main board. It's one of these, he called it something. It's one of these little micro capacitors, little tiny things. He said it could be one of 1,000 of them in there. And it looks like a big computer printed circuit board. That's not an amplifier. I'm sorry, it's just not. My ART SGX 2000, it looks like a computer inside of it too. But there's the tube preamp section that's still old school in it. You know, it's still post to post wired like a tube amplifier. And then you've got the DSP section that is 3 printed circuit boards, just like a computer stacked on top of one another. Knock on wood, I haven't had a problem with that unit. And when I say I've been abusive to it, I have left that thing cook for days. Just leave it on. And it's got 2 12AX7s in it. You go to touch it, you can't touch the face. It gets so hot. I have not been nice to that thing, and it still works to this day. I know Applied Research Technology has made some pretty stuff, and their new stuff is all budget, very inexpensive, beginner level stuff. In the late 80s, early 90s, ART was a state-of-the-art company. They made stuff, next level stuff. I have 2 of them. I have a first gen and a second gen SGX 2000. Love them. Bought the first gen because the second gen was getting a little long in the tooth and wanted a backup. But I'm not fixing that amp. I'm just not. I don't know if anyone else here has had issues with BLACKSTAR, but after I had a problem with it, I went online, and it seems that I'm not the only one that's had a problem with this MK20 or MK20, or I think it's HT20. It seems that it has a reputation of failing, just like this one did. I'm reading CG's comment. Know your own keys now. Ages ago, when doing Firefly ZW, there were some others asking. Oh, I just hit a button. About the EVH knockoffs. They have them now. Magically, they only appear on the site overnight. Yeah, on the Firefly, I'm looking for the FFMN with the roasted maple neck and the striping, the EVH striping. I'm not overly interested in ordering one of the EVH Fireflies that have the 2 different headstocks. One's more like a beak headstock, I think it's tilted back, and the other one uses the standard Firefly Strat headstock. I've had the opportunity to order both of those and just kind of steered away from it. I think if I do get another Firefly, and it would in the EVH, it would definitely be the FFMN, only because I already have one, and I can rob the tremolo system that I built for this guitar and stick it in the other one and take the factory bridge and put back in this guitar. Nothing against this one. I don't know if that one had a rosewood fingerboard or not. If they made the FFMN with the rosewood fingerboard and the EVH striping, I would be in guitar heaven. That would be one that I would love to modify. I like the rosewood. There's a Trucker Bob comment. I thought your dog didn't bite. Yeah, well, my dog, I don't know where he's at. He's probably in little one's room. He's not out here right now. He's usually in his basket. He's been in a couple of my videos. He'll trot around, and he's a pretty good puppy. He doesn't bite. He may lick you to death, but that's about all that dog's going to do. Yeah. And what's funny, the MN, I think I said, I don't know if you were in the live stream when it first started. That guitar was the worst Firefly guitar I've ever received from Firefly. It didn't. The frets were awful. Just the general construction on the fit and finish, the neck, how it was seated into the neck pocket, it was just slapped together. And the fret ends were, because it's got the ball end frets. The end of the ball, it would catch the strings, the high E string on pretty much every fret all the way down. So that the frets weren't seated right. There was high and low frets. They weren't polished well. It was a basket case directly from Firefly. And what's funny is it was the first guitar I ever reviewed. Everyone was hyping up these Fireflies. So I said, we're going to order one of these. And we're going to start reviewing guitars. I want to see what is YouTube hype and what isn't hype. So I ordered one, and immediately I'm sitting there thinking to myself, wow, these channels are really either getting a kickback or there's something going on how they're doing things. So I did the review, and it seemed like people liked it. They liked the honest approach to these budget guitars. So I kind of stuck with it. The only issue that I think that I've ever had was with, I won't say I had an issue. Leo Jaymz made some comments on one of my videos on one of their guitars. And my only response to him was, if you feel that I'm in error or I got a bad one, I'm more than willing for you to send me another guitar. You know, at that point, that means they could hand select the guitar and send it to me. And they still didn't. And I've reviewed a couple of the Monsoons. The company just has neck and fret issues. Their quality control is not near what Firefly is. Their fret leveling is not near what Firefly is. Do I think they have a good guitar? I think the Monsoon and the version like the Monsoon, I guess it's called the Hurricane with the non-reverse headstock, I believe those could be good guitars. But if you're buying one, count on doing the frets. I have yet to get a Leo Jaymz, not one Leo Jaymz that didn't need fret work. The first Leo Jaymz that I ever did a review on, I don't know if y'all have watched it, it was a headless. The guitar was so bad, I stopped midway through doing the review and said, just don't buy this thing. This thing's awful. It's not worth the $100 and some they're asking for it. It's still down in the basement in the shop, disassembled, waiting for me to fix it. And it requires me taking a lot of material off the back of the head, off the neck, to get it to set in the pocket correctly, because they had shimmed it. Well, they had shimmed it, but the neck was already too thick, so it was already way out of the body. You have to go back and watch the video. It's an atrocious guitar, and that was Leo Jaymz. I think the best one I ever reviewed had 5 spots in the frets, 5 locations, and I'm going to say that was good for them. The Volgoa seems to do a much better job than Leo Jaymz. The sad news is Volgoa seems to have disappeared. They're no longer posting anything on Amazon for sale. The issue I had with Volgoa, it seemed like the necks and the bodies and stuff like that was good quality, but they were more like the Firefly back 6 years ago. Microphonic pickups, cheap electronics. But the body work and the fretwork was good. You were just getting microphonic pickups. The Firefly was like that too. Let me grab a guitar over here and I'll show you. If this guitar is dirty, I apologize. This is my significant other's guitar. And you can see it is a Firefly, and it is filthy. It's been hanging up on the wall for, several months. And if you guys are Firefly fans, you'll probably want to buy this guitar. For some strange reason, the original charcoal flame Les Paul is the one everyone wants. And yes, it's the one with the crooked inlay. They all had the crooked inlay back when Firefly first started. I don't know why this guitar is so popular, but if you get on the forums, the black charcoal one from 6 years ago when they first started out, that is this guitar. This is the one they want. It does not have ball-in frets. It has these standard frets. I've redone the guitar. There's a long story. She was going to take the guitar to a pawn shop and just get rid of it. It sat in our Suburban for 6 months, in the back, behind the seat, thrown on the floor.
That one did not.
How long?
It was only in the back of the car for a little while. It sat in that cold room at Dad's house.
Oh, she's saying it only sat in the car for a little while. It was in a cold room at her dad's house. I had started doing reviews. She said she had this cheap guitar. She went over to her dad's house and got it. We forgot about it, and it sat out in the car in the middle of wintertime. She brings it in, and I see, oh my gosh, it's one of those Fireflies, and it's the one that everyone wants. So I'm like, this is so cool. 2 minutes later, after she brings it in, it frosts up and it starts sweating. There was water dripping off the guitar. It was so cold outside. When I brought it in, it went into shock. And the guitar literally fogged up and it was just saturated with water. It eventually did dry out. And I went through and I put new tuners on it, locking tuners. This is on Amazon. You can get these are the burst buckers and the Epiphone wiring kit. It was like $80. You get the pickups, the volume knobs, the switch. Threw that in it, and it's still using the old Firefly tailpiece and centerpiece. I never changed it. So I just changed the pickups out and put new tuners on it. And I did a complete fret job on this guitar. And I don't know if you can hear that. The guitar is in tune. Literally, I haven't picked this guitar up in probably 6 or 7 months. It's just been hanging on the wall. And it's very close to being in tune. Incredible instrument. So Firefly of the old days. So I've been around Firefly for a while. We've got all kinds of examples. I truly think if the company went back to doing frets this way, I think they would be a better instrument. The ball-in frets are cool. Don't get me wrong, I think it's cool. But if you're playing and you're bending strings and you're playing hard, they just have a tendency of hanging up the strings. What review was it? I went back and I believe it was the Blueberry Burst Firefly with a Floyd Rose. I believe in that demo, I was having problems, one with the bridge staying in tune, but also the high E string getting caught underneath the frets. I think that's just going to be an issue with the ball and frets. I've yet to play one that doesn't have that problem. Now, my FFMN, I beat the tar out of those frets down here to seat them in properly and then super glued them. I have not had any more problems with that guitar, but it's the design itself. If they ever lift right there, because they've cut the back part of the tang off the fret, you're just going to have issues with it. I never had a problem with the old style frets like this. And this one has the binding on it as well. So I wish Firefly would go back to this. I really do. The chamfered frets with the binding. I don't know. I have another Firefly here with P90s on it. It was last year they come out with the Les Paul with P90s. It didn't have the ball end frets. They had the chamfered frets. And Mike, that left the conversation, it was his guitar. He said that he had it. It come up, it didn't have ball and frets, so I quickly bought the guitar off Mike. Let me put this back up. I'll get caught up on the chat there. There's Jaymz 5150. Hey, Jaymz. If you've already, well, hopefully you had left before I read the comment. Yeah, CG, that Epiphone Les Paul, I don't know if you were in the chat. When the chat first started, Mike, he's the channel moderator, he sent me the Firefly Les Paul with the Floyd Rose bridge, and I have since given it to Short Bus. And Short Bus was in the chat. I don't know if he's still in the chat now or not. But it was sold to Short Bus. And it's a great guitar. The Firefly one's a great guitar. But the Les Paul, I've got it in the bedroom right now. That guitar, the different sounds that you can get out of the coil splits and the phase switch, that's an awesome guitar. I classify that guitar as a working man's guitar. You can pull that thing up on stage. If you want the single coil strat tone, you can kind of get it out of that guitar, even though it's a Les Paul. You can get some quacky sounds out of it. You can get that humbucker kick out of it. It's just a great working man guitar. It's really an awesome guitar. I'm glad you're liking it. I love mine. It's almost, I hate to say it, it's almost too pretty to play because you're scared you're going to scratch it. The top on the guitar, it's just a beautiful guitar. And sometimes you just want to pick up a guitar and just beat the tar out of it. That's really not the guitar to do that to. I mean, I guess I'm making it out like it's a $5,000 Gibson. It's not. It's a $1,300 Epiphone. That's why I bought it, because the Gibson version is $5,500. That's insane. You can buy literally 3 or 4 of those Epiphones for the price of the Gibson. There's no way that Gibson is going to play 1 or 2% better than that Epiphone. It's just not going to. It's just not. Is it going to have the resale value? Maybe. Some of the first gen Epiphone Alex license are going for $1,800. So they have, and that guitar only sold for $799 when Epiphone originally made it. That was the one that had the pizzos in the bridge, Floyd Rose bridge. This model, they deleted that. Oh, thanks, Bob. That's the only way you'll ever see $1 on YouTube. But just so you know, Bob, YouTube just took at least $2 of that. They take about 30%. Not saying anything. I greatly appreciate it, Bob, but YouTube, that's another reason why you guys haven't seen too much from me. I guess I should get to that point. I've really been struggling with YouTube lately. And if no one If I offend someone here, I'm sorry, but I am a smoker, and I've been yakking now for over an hour, and my smoking habit is kicking in. You've probably seen it in my videos. I'll have a pack of cigarettes sitting around. The reason I've kind of taken a slight break from YouTube, some of the videos get a lot of views. And I started going back and watching my own video through like my friend's phone or my friend's computer. I have YouTube set up to the minimum. I only want the minimum ads. This live stream, you guys have probably seen an ad. I couldn't do it without it. When I went no ad in this, it kicked me back to the first page. So I'm like, well, there's got to be a way for me to do no ads. So I went back to it. I forget what it said. Change the way YouTube does ads. Well, then it forced me to put like 6 ads in for an hour. Figure out where you want to put them. No, I don't know where I want. I don't want any ads. So I clicked out of that and I went up to the next spot and clicked it. Well, YouTube will figure out the best place to put ads. YouTube, I like back to what I was saying. I go watch one of my videos and it seemed like every 5 minutes, YouTube's throwing an ad on it. I'm sitting there going, why is it doing that? So I went back and I looked at the details on the video, and I make sure when I post a video that I get it bare minimum, as few ads as possible. For some strange reason, it's showing up. You've got a details window. And it's like ad. Do you want to remove ads? Yeah, I want to remove these ads. They shouldn't be there. YouTube went back in and changed, 15 or 20 of my videos. And I'm like, why are all these ads in here? Well, come to find out, when you place the ad, it doesn't just you get to pick the ad. You get to pick your 3 ads. But YouTube is still going to put all their ads in it. They didn't tell you that. They just say, hey, do you want to pick where the ads go? Well, sure. That way I can put it in where I want it to go. That way it doesn't interrupt the video. At least that's what I was thinking. So I picked 3 ads. I picked the placement. I didn't think anything of it. Come to find out, YouTube is still throwing in their 3 ads along with the 3 placement ads. So I had to go back through and change all those. So that was my first issue that I was having with YouTube. Second issue that I've been having with YouTube, and it's nothing against any other channels. And I almost fell into this trap where you got to offset your time. Well, I guess you don't have to. I love guitar. I love playing guitar. I love playing with amplifiers. But at the same token, I love playing my guitar. So when I'm doing a YouTube video, there for a while, I was doing a review every week or every 2 weeks. I never had time to actually play the guitar. And I'm here on YouTube because I love guitar. So when you start doing so much content and you actually don't get to play the guitar, and you got the opportunity to play great guitars, great amplifiers. I don't have a cheap amplifier. I have a very nice amplifier. I have nice guitars. So when you find yourself not being able to play, it's disheartening. And then you feel bad when you do play and you don't put out a video because you have subscribers. And then the subscribers are like, hey, you haven't put out a video. So I was really struggling with that, guys. I hope you guys understand that. Imagine only being able to do demo content and tearing guitars down 24/7 and really not being able to enjoy what you enjoy about music. Doing this with you guys tonight, this is different because we can talk guitars. I'm not tearing apart a guitar. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake. If I misspeak, you guys can fix it. I don't have to sit and spend 16 hours editing the video, just like I just misspoke there. In the video world, you would go through and maybe chop that out or redo it. You always do things twice and you pick the best. Sometimes I just kind of fly through it. This is much easier on me. It's easier to do. I just wish I could hear you guys instead of the typing. I want more interaction. Everyone here has an opinion. Your opinion is just as good as my opinion, because if you own the product, that's your opinion of the product that you own. That's what people need to hear. That's why I started the channel. I review it. I try to do the best job I can. And then everyone that owns that product can say, no, Avery, I bought this guitar. I had no problems with it. I love it. You know, you can disagree with me, or you can come in and say, yeah, I had the exact same fret leveling problem. I had a problem with the pocket. Well, your guitar didn't have tuner issues. Mine showed up. The tuners are awful. You know, so be it. The more people that post on the video, the more information that is there for the people that's thinking about buying the instrument. That was my goal on YouTube. And I wanted to have an honest channel with good people, not a bunch of spammers. We did have one or two spammers in the past that were just blowing up some of my videos, and they quickly found out that this isn't the channel, that they're not going to get a rise out of me and make me say something stupid and get banned on YouTube or get a strike against me. Been very fortunate as far as spammers go on YouTube. I think everyone, even the channels that I don't necessarily agree with, I think that they can at least respect what the channel has done in the past. I'm going to get caught up on the chat. The blue and purple Chameleon FF Strat added a Gilmore EMG. I had a Squire, I think it was the 60s vibe. It was the classic vibe 60s that I put the David Gilmour pickups in. And that guitar, again, I didn't keep it because it was a Strat. I love Strats. I hate the volume knob location on the Strat. Love the guitar. The sound of those EMGs and the way that guitar played. I get on stage with it, I'd hit the volume knob. That's not the guitar's fault. It's my fault from playing super Strats. Volume's in a different location. That's my only issue with the super Strat. But I'm sure that in the Gilmour EMGs, they're spot on. Got a new one on sale for around the same price. A complete steal. Trucker Bob says, yeah, I know YouTube sucks. It can. And that's why I literally, guys, I've been thinking about coming on here and just chatting like this for over a month. And I didn't know whether or not I should or should not. I didn't want to sound like a complaining YouTuber. I want to be more of a musician, but I also owed you guys an explanation on why I haven't been doing too much. The secondary reason was significant other's father passed away. It's been a hard year. If you guys watched my Firefly Mad Cat video, my mother passed away during me recording that review. So, and my father passed away exactly 1 year before that. She died 2 days after my father died a year later. So then fast forward about 6 months and Linnell's dad died. So that left us another house. And we've been trying to balance the budget, trying to keep the house, get it fixed up to rent. I was spending all my time at work and then my weekends over there trying to fix the house. And we have decided it's just too much. It's too much for us to have another house, and we're just not going to play with it. So it just took every spare minute of our life going over there, working on it. And then not only that, it took all the extra revenue to go to the other house. So we made a decision 2 or 3 weeks ago, let the house go. It's just too much for us. We don't have the interest in being landlords. We thought we would maybe rent it for a couple months, turn around and sell it. The area is growing, but it's just not worth it for us. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I'm not in my 20s. I can't work 40, 50 hours a week, come home, do a complete remodel, and still have a life and energy to go back to work on. I can't. And so that hurt the YouTube channel. So hopefully now we can get back to at least doing a live stream once a week. If I can do a live stream once a week with you guys, are happy with that, and do one guitar review a month, maybe every 3 weeks. Lord knows I've got a lot of guitars to review. Beginning, we showed you this guitar, which these companies, they know you guys are going on Amazon, buying Firefly, buying Leo Jaymz. They're listening. For $325, that's what this guitar is on sale for right now. Everyone has it. Whether you go to Sweetwater, you go to musicians, I call them musicians' enemy, musicians' friend, AMS, Guitar Center. I didn't do that. I bought this at my local shop. I walked in, he had it for the exact same price. It's like Fender sent out a bulletin to all their dealers. You're going to put this guitar on sale, and it's going to be $329. For $329, buy this guitar. You know, it doesn't need tuners, doesn't need pickups, doesn't need fretwork. Buy the thing. I'm telling you, I've been playing these Kramers, and this guitar is awesome. It's awesome out of the box. Awesome guitar. $329. Going to do a review on it. Great guitar. Another guitar. I am not a 7-string guitar player. But for $265, come on, guys. This thing is stupid. It is stupid for $265. I put a fret level on this guitar. It is stupid. The thing plays awesome. I get my little squirrel brain gets screwed up with the extra. I've got it tuned to B. I know some guys do alternative tunings, but I have the 7th string tuned to B. If I play it for about 15 or 20 minutes, my brain starts to reset and I'm able to play it. But I find myself struggling when I first pick it up. Then when I set it down and I go back to a 6th string, it takes a little while for me to get back into the groove of playing the guitar. But for $200, this is Firefly money. The difference is you're buying a name brand. It's still an import. It's still made in China. But at least you're supporting a name brand. If you're into the name brand thing, this guitar is going to hold a little bit more of its value. It's a Jackson. People recognize the name. All the guitars I review, I have to resell. And I have a lot of people, you know, they'll look at the marketplace, Firefly, who's that? Never heard of it. And I tell them, you know, it's a budget guitar. It's well made. I've got it set up. I'm selling a guitar because I review them on YouTube. If you're interested in the guitar, I give them a link. They can go watch the YouTube video. I don't hide anything. If it's got messed up tuners, whatever it is, that's the video. Now, if I fixed it, I put in the ad. I did this and this and this. You know, then I meet them. They buy it. Or some guitars I don't fix. and they see it on Marketplace, and they're like, okay, what would you charge to put new tuners on it for us? And we'll buy the guitar for $200. I never get what I actually got in the guitar. I usually always have to eat the shipping, just so everyone knows. So if it's a $239 Zach Wild guitar, I usually try to get $230, $240. But I also had to pay for the shipping. Now, what I've seen with YouTube in the past, most of my Firefly videos have made enough now to where I think, for the most part, I'm pretty much broken even on the guitars that have been reviewed on the channel versus me selling them, versus, if that makes sense. I haven't made a penny for my time doing the work or doing the YouTube video itself. But just keep in mind, guys, there's other companies out there. This 7-string Jackson is a phenomenal sounding and playing guitar. And it was $265, I think. Got it on, I think this one come from Amazon, I think. Pretty sure. It does have the scarf joint neck. You can see it's pretty obvious that it's a scarf joint. Jackson branded tuners. But the tuners feel okay. I will say this, I think the ratio needs to be a bit larger. Since this is being tuned, I'm not even down a half step, just tuned 440 on the B. It's a little sensitive for the B string. I don't know if it's 18-1, 16-1. I'd have to look at the specs, but they should go down one to give to where you have to tune the knob a little bit more for the rotation. It's a little sensitive on the low B, but that's not really a tuner. It's not a problem with the tuner. It's just the ratio needs to be a little finer. You need to be able to turn the tuning key a little more with less action, less rotation on the nut up here itself, so you can get in between. That's the only thing I've noticed with the guitar. Also have a Squire 40th anniversary guitar to review. And the Firefly box that you see right there, again, I'll go over it again. That's a subscriber's guitar. And he's probably going to shoot me because that guitar has been here for like 4 months and it's still in the box. So my goal tomorrow, since I've got all my cameras and everything set back up, is to actually start doing the review on that guitar. I owe it to him. And what I'm probably going to do, since I've had the guitar so long, probably do a review on it. And I haven't had it out of the box. It might be a nightmare. So before I put my foot in my mouth, what I should do, if I have time, review it. If there's problems, go through, give it the music and gear tuned up, and then send it back to him, because he has been beyond patient. So I have the next couple of days off. I think I can record all the video parts during my time off, and then coming home from work, I can do the editing and possibly have that video up in a week and a half or 2 weeks. And then send him an email and say, look, I'm sorry, I'm going to set the guitar up. But that's how crazy it's been with the rental house and stuff. And that's really the reason why I started the live stream. I wanted you guys to know what was going on. It's not anything to do with not having the guitars to review. Got 2 of these Kramer Berettas to review. I've got the banana yellow one. I got this gray one, exact same instrument. Kramer Night Swan to review. Already tell you, awesome guitar. See what else we have to review. Oh, Epiphone DOT. I don't know if you all are familiar with the instrument. How many people here know what an Epiphone DOT is? Now, I know there's a lag, so I'm going to wait a couple of seconds for someone to respond. Daniel says, he hopes I continue doing the streams. Yeah, I think it needs to happen. I like it. And of course, my friend CG says he's got an Epiphone DOT. I'm going to show you mine. This guitar is stupid good. Trust me, it's stupid good. This one is I forget what year it is. This one's old. This one's like 20 years old. Again, me and going on trips and not finding a music store, that's not going to happen. Just recently sold my Dean. I liked the Dean. I really did. But I got too many expensive guitars and the Dean wasn't getting played. So I took the Dean to Shenandoah Music. So if you guys liked the blue Dean that I had, they have it for sale right now for $550. I think that's a good price for that guitar. I've already been paid for it, and yes, they are making money at $550. The guitar is worth more than $550. There's not a scratch on it. So if someone wants the MD24 that I did a review on and played many times here on the channel, Shenandoah Music in Winchester, Virginia has it right now for $550. So go grab it. Well, since I go on trips a lot, we were going to a wedding. It was about 6 or 7 months ago, and there was a Guitar Center in Hagerstown, Maryland, and never knew it was there. I used to do a lot of work in Hagerstown. They never had a Guitar Center. Went in and I walked by this thing and I didn't really pay attention to it on the way out. I walked by, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's an Epiphone DOT. And I picked it up and I fell in love with it. This guitar is phenomenal. It rocks. It really does. I don't know if the new ones, I don't know if Epiphone still makes the DOT. But if you have the opportunity of finding one that has this real weird badge here, and it says Gibson. I've never seen an Epiphone. Maybe all the dots say Gibson. I just never seen an Epiphone with the Gibson badging on it like that. CG, does yours have the Gibson badge on it like that? I know this one does. Now, I just got a Facebook message from a guitar player that I know has passed away, Jay Powell. If anyone knows Jay or knew Jay, Jay was a phenomenal miss. It's just come up, so I find that peculiar. Maybe the person running his page has got something that they're doing for Jay. He passed away about 4 or 5 months ago. So if anyone knows him, he has passed. He's a phenomenal musician, was. So yours does not have the Gibson badging. It's the newer 335. Yeah, there's a lot of unique things on this guitar. Even in here, inside the F-holes, the finish on this, it is just done very well. There's no fur. It's nice and smooth on the transitions in here. I mean, I'm a pretty picky person. And I was at the guy's looking at me. I got my finger in there, and he's going, what in the world's this guy doing? I'm feeling in here. I'm feeling for the sharp edges. I'm looking at the binding on this guitar. And it is just so crisp. The binding on this guitar is just crisp. When I say it has zero bleed between the binding edge and the finish, I mean, it's zero. there's always just maybe a 64th, 128th of an inch, something. This has got the best binding I have ever seen on any guitar. It is, I don't know who made this one, but they knew how to tape binding when they sprayed and did stain work. Either that or it was done, and this is deliberately set high, and they took a scraper and scraped back to the finish and then urethaned it. They could have also done that. Either way, however they did this, it's really nice. It's spot on. So we also need to do a review on this guitar. Now I've got something that you guys are probably going to think is sacrilege. But I'm telling you, if you have the opportunity to play this guitar, it's another keeper. Let me grab that one. This is a next level guitar. There is nothing on this guitar that I would change, period. CG, don't mean to tell you got to buy another guitar, but if you like the Alex license Epiphone, you might want to look at one of these. This is the Fender FMT fixed bridge. And yes, it has coil splits. These are the Pearly Gates Seymour Duncan pickups on it. Awesome. The neck, I don't know if you can see, look at the character in that neck. Look at the inlays. This guitar is stupid. Again, the binding. It's crisp. I'm not going to say it's not 100% like the Epiphone that we just looked at, because that's the best I've ever seen. But this one is very crisp. I would say 128th of an inch. I mean, no one would, I'm being really stupid picky, but it's done nice. And the top does morph on it. Now, this is a veneer. I don't think it's a solid cap. I have not had the pickups out. But I think these guitars are $1,100 retail. You can usually pick them up for $8.99, $9.99. I see them a lot for $8.99. So at that price point, being that it has the Fender badge, I'm going to say that this is most likely a veneer. But it is a playing monster. Now, here's the thing. This is not your typical Telecaster. I'm going to show you why I bought it. It is a set neck. It's not neck through, because you can see the seam here. So it comes up and it goes all the way into the neck pocket. And then they've cut flat and then arched right into the body. It's awesome. Yeah, exactly. That in itself makes this guitar so unique. When you're playing, it's just, I can't describe it. The way that feels right there when you come back on it, it is comfy. Exactly. It is super comfy. I had wanted one and wanted one. I had played the red one at Shenandoah Music, and there was something about the red. You know, I played it, man, the sound, the way the guitar played, I was like, oh, I really want the blind. I want the blind. I want the blind. They sold it. And then he got a red one that had the black binding. It was like a black burst. I played that guitar. It didn't play as good as the red one. So I asked him, I said, when are you guys going to get in the blonde one? And he goes, well, I had the red one. I had this one. I'll order a blonde one next. I went in. I played it. And here's the trick, guys. I order from Sweetwater too. Sometimes you get good and bad instruments. I did go in, I played the guitar. There was just something about it. I didn't really bond with it. The top wasn't as pretty as this one. It just didn't feel right. And he said, what do you think? I said, I don't know. So he had two of them. He goes, well, I got another one. So he opened that one up and he pulled that one out of the box, and the top on it was a little nicer. That's this one. And it played a little better. And I think I said earlier, everyone knows that I do guitar work. So for me to let someone else touch my guitar, that's saying something. The technician at Shandor Music, I forget his name. I asked Linnell, we can't remember the guy's name. He's the only guy there. Just if you guys get something from him, say the guy that's been there for years. He set this guitar up for me. He charged me $100 plus the price of the guitar. And could I have done it? Yeah. But I wanted to buy a guitar, have someone else set it up to my spec. I told him what I wanted, and he set it up perfectly. I picked the guitar up a week later, and I got this one. And it's just a monster. It's like a cross between a Telecaster and a Les Paul, if you can imagine that. You can get some Les Paul sounds out of this, and when you split the coil, it'll give you some quack down here when you split it to a single coil. Does it sound like a Telecaster? No, it doesn't. But it's more like a Strat single coil sound than a Telecaster. So if you're thinking you're going to get more of a Teletone out of it, you're not. You're going to get more of a Strat, like a beefy Strat sound, and a Les Paul sound out of it. Awesome guitar. So I got this one coming up at some point for review. And I think that's all the guitars I have out in my living room section. Let me hang this one up. I think I've been talking enough, so let's hear what you guys think and what you guys. I mean, it's Christmas, so I know somebody here bought a new guitar or a new amp. So what'd you guys get? This year, I actually did not get. Well, I guess technically I did. I got the Squire. I'm all over the map brand wise with guitars I own. That's at Bruce. Right. Yeah. Boy, I think I need to change my glasses is what I need to do. Bryce. Bought a Charvel Pro Mod DK24 in Snow White. Ooh. I don't remember. I was at Guitar Center, and they had, I think it was a humbucker single. So I don't know if the Pro Mod DK24 is a dual humbucker or if it's three singles. What's that set up as? Is that an HSS or HH? The one I was looking at, yeah, it's probably the same one. Do they make that guitar in the baby blue? Because the one I was looking at was 24 fret baby blue, humbucker single, had the FR 1000 bridge. I loved it. And I had put it on layaway and I was making payments on it and ended up, I remember I took it off a layaway and I ended up getting something else. I don't remember what it was. I think it was one of the Kramers. PRS McCarthy 594 in vintage cherry red. Yeah, I already know that that's not saying there's not a bad one out there. But when I go, I want a PRS. And what's funny is I actually bought a used one to review, and I brought it home, and I took it back the very next day. And it had nothing to do with how the guitar played. It was $500 at Guitar Center, and I just remember it was the import. It was an SE. I don't remember which model. This is the typical, this sounds awful. It was the typical PRS body style in the SE, whichever model that. But I took it back because I was like, well, it's used. I don't know if it's been altered or changed. It's going to be hard to do a review on a guitar that's been used. I don't know if they've changed something. I'll take it back and get a new one. And I took it back, and again, I didn't follow through with getting one. I have yet to pick up a Paul Reed Smith in the music store that I didn't like. They all seem to have a feel or something. They just, it's almost, I'm not going to say that you could blindfold me, but they've got a feel, and it's just a PRS feel, if that makes sense. I don't know if you all agree with me on that, but they've just got something, and it's like, yeah, this is a PRS. I need to get one. I really do. Let's see what else. Fender Eric Johnson 54. Eric Johnson. The 54. Is that like the, I remember back in the day he played like a stained burst. It was like a dark that went to a lighter center. Is that basically the same? That's what I remember him playing. I guess it was considered a sunburst with the dark brown outer that went lighter on the center. Eric Johnson. He's a phenomenal guitar player. Another one of the guitar players that music labels didn't really agree with. Back in the day, music labels didn't like an artist that touched in all these different genres of music. They wanted you to be predictable. Oh, you're going to play country. You're going to play blues. You play blues rock. You play hair. They didn't want you to play a little jazz, some rock, a country song. And Eric Johnson, his mainstream album had White Cliffs of Dover on it. He covered a lot of different genres and a lot of different styles on that album. Truly a phenomenal guitarist by any stretch of the imagination. He's still awesome. He's got a signature speaker that I really like too by Eminence. It's got a smack and a bite. If you're doing like a crunchy, I don't have a Fender amp, but if I had a Fender twin reverb, I guarantee you those Eminence Eric Johnson drivers would be awesome in a super reverb or a twin reverb Fender. They would just have the smack and the bite to give that Fender that extra. Yeah, pretty much the same. Yeah, that's a. How much did the Eric Johnson model cost? If you don't mind me prying. How much was that bad boy? Most signature models start at $1,200. That's the cheapest signature model I think I've ever seen. And that's the LX license Epiphone. That's about $1,200 is what I paid for that one. I don't think I've ever seen another signature model below that price point. Usually it's there up to, well, the VI model now is like $5,500 for the PIA. And that's crazy money. I want one, but I don't want one for $5,500. Black Friday, yeah, $2,200. you can't beat that, because I was just, again, I'm not throwing out Shenandoah Music, but that's my local store. They had a Fender Professional 2, and I want to say that guitar was $2,500. And that's not going to have the bells and whistles that that one has. So I'd say that's a good deal, $2,200 for that model. When the Professional 2 was 25. Now I don't know if that was on sale. I know they were having a Christmas sale. I just don't remember if that Professional 2 was on sale at that price or what the standard price is for that model. Trucker bag. I'm back. Got some Neosporin. You ever did get my Floyd Rose pulled out? I need a good tool for that. Pigs are recessed down in the cavity. All right. What you got to do, Trucker Bob, the insert is fluted. There's little metal grooves, just like any Les Paul. When the inserts, it's the exact same thing. It's a little bit smaller diameter. What you want to do, you want to screw that post back into the insert, okay? You want it to let it stick up a little bit, okay? And you're going to need to get something to protect the guitar body, whether a piece of wood, put a cloth over the guitar, then a thin piece of wood, and then you can take a hammer or a pair of pliers with a fulcrum, like a round tube, and put on to the post that's threaded into the insert and pry, whether you use the roller and pry up, but you want to pry straight up, okay? You don't want to get it on an angle where you're putting pressure and forcing the post out crooked. You want to pull straight up. When you move it a little bit, move your block, put a spacer on the block. Only move it about 1/8 of an inch each time. That way you don't get that post coming out crooked. Because if it comes out crooked, it's going to want to chip that finish to get the post out. So get it even to where the claw is even. Pull up, then space it, get it even again. Pull up, space it, get it even again, and gradually work it out. I would say take a heat gun and try to expand the body. But anytime you do that, you have you can cause a blemish in the finish of the guitar. If you have one, they make a cold iron. It gets very, very cold on the end. You can hit the ferrule with a cold iron. It's like a frosting element, and that will contract the metal. But I don't think you're going to gain anything to make it any looser. They usually don't put any glue from the factory on those. I know people put a dot of CA glue on them and shove them down in there so they don't move. 99.9% of the time, it's a compression fitting. It's just pushed in. So cloth over the guitar, thin piece of wood, hammer or pliers underneath the hook. I prefer a hammer because your post has a groove like this. So you can get the claw of the hammer over the post and you can pull up. The problem is you can damage the post. If you're pulling the inserts and you're putting real Floyd Rose stuff in it, don't worry about it. The most important part is the post. So change the insert, and if you're putting an upgraded original or FR1000 in it, make sure you get the upgraded post. The base plate, and because it's a Falcrum, the base plate and the post need to be the same metal. Do not put the softer post in and the hardened plate. It'll eat up the post. They need to be the same. So a lot of people were going, oh, put a stainless steel post in. Then you start chewing up the knife edges. They need to be the same metal. That way they wear evenly and they wear consistently together. The next trick is never, ever put your tool, your 3mm tool, in your post and change your action height with pressure, with that knife edge engaged to that post. You are destroying your bridge. You are destroying it. You're destroying it. Just get that in your head. Never, ever adjust your action height with the spring pressure and the knife edge engaged in that post. You will destroy it. Will you notice it the first couple times? Maybe not. But you just took 6 or 7 months of life off of that bridge. I need to get a drink. I may need to go to the kitchen and get a drink. I talk a lot, but I don't think I've talked this much in 6 months. Yeah, CJ. And when you just said that, I figured it was cheaper because I just saw the professional model. I'm pretty sure it was $2,400 or $2,500. Oh, DG. Well, just since you're here, this is your guitar. And I haven't spoiled it, so if there's anything in the guitar, if you happen to put a time-triggered bomb in it, it's probably still active. I just haven't opened it up to blow anything up yet. I'm a firm believer in you do the review, you open it up, first impression. So I haven't even taken the tape off the box yet. It's sitting right there. Earlier I said I'm going to probably get to that tomorrow and start doing. I got my cameras back up and running, got things going. And this is the reason I love my hunting. Right here, guys. See that? I mean, one, I'm a musician. Two, I spend way too much money on guitars. And I said I was thirsty. She answered. That's all I'm going to say about that. I got a good woman. Don't mean to brag, but I got a good woman. Trucker Bob. Yeah, I have the new Goth bridge to replace it with. It has the post. Yeah, make sure you use the Goth posts and the inserts. And just be careful, Bob, when you're pulling that up. I don't know if any of my videos actually show me pulling the inserts out or not. It reminds me of a channel here, and I have, guys, I don't cut on anyone's channel. That's not where this is going. But there's a channel on YouTube, and I've really, because the guy's funny. He is. He's funny, but some of the stuff he does is kind of like, oh my gosh. I saw this video. He took a fret file and shoved it in his Sawzall. He's sitting there and he's crowding his frets with a Sawzall with a fret file modified into the Sawzall. I'm sitting there going, oh my God. And I started busting out laughing. I don't know if he does it for the comedic value of it. But I saw him one day, he was pulling inserts on a guitar, and he just put a rag down on the guitar. He takes this, I think it was a big hammer, and he just right on the face of the guitar. And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, he had it covered, but he didn't put a block of wood. And I'm like, oh my God. And he hit it like, it like pops out of the guitar and it goes boop and lands back on the table. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I've tried to watch the channel a couple of times. I just can't. I can't do it. Is it Scar My Guitar on? Oh, see, yeah, he puts it might be Scar My Guitar. I can't, I don't know. But it's so funny. So don't do that, Trucker Bob. You put a plate underneath of it, put your hook on it, pull it up slowly, or you're not here for YouTube to create clicks, if that's what the other channel's doing. Just bring it up slowly, and make sure the the claw stays even to where you're attaching it to the piece, and make sure the insert comes out straight. That's the key. Make sure the insert comes, because if that insert starts coming out crooked, you're oblonging the bore in the guitar. That's the most important thing. Do not mess up the bore that's in the guitar. If you don't pull it out straight, you can oblong the bore. Then when you go to put the new insert in, it could be loose. Now, something you can do, I don't know if they still make it. I have a container of it from 20 years ago. It's called chair lock. People that build chairs use it. So on the spindle of the chair, you bore a hole, and then you have your inserted piece. So there's a dowel that goes from the chair into the leg. They deliberately cut that down about 128th of an inch smaller than the bore. But what they do before they assemble the chair, all the pins that recessed in on the spindles, they dip it in this material called chair lock. And it's designed to expand the wood. So they dip it, all their inputted pieces get dipped into that, and then they use clamps and they bring the chair together. After 2 days, it swells. And that compression of the swelling of the spindles into the chair leg is what holds the chair together. So if you find that you put the insert in and it doesn't feel tight, do a search for, it's called chair lock. Get some of that and take a Q-tip, put it down the chair lock, and put it down in the bore of the guitar onto the bare wood. And get a nice coating of that in there, and then push the inserts in. And it's going to naturally put that stuff back into the wood fibers and expand. It doesn't do it much. Don't think it's going to cause blistering in the finish. It's not. But it will create a point where the fluting that's in that insert, the swelling of the wood, like this is the flute, the swelling of the wood will swell, and it'll swell in between the fluting and lock that in with chair lock. Especially if you go from like a 28 or a 30 spline furl to maybe a 26 and the splines don't perfectly align. Now you're going to have open cavities. So if you put that material in there, press it in, the wood will expand around the new furl. You could use just water. I would use the chair lock more because it's more natural based with minerals from trees than just introducing moisture into the wood. Well, if you're not too worried about the finish, then don't worry about it. Just try to keep the furl coming out straight so you don't oblong the hole. I like the skill saw. You get a what they call a thin curved skill saw blade. I don't know. I don't know what channel it is. I saw him using a fret file on a Sawzall, and it just, first thing that happened, my eyeballs about popped out of my head, and then I just started laughing. It had to be for comedic value. I can't imagine a guitar tech would ever put a fret file in a Sawzall and feel that he had control over the tool to be able to crown your frets. That just, I thought it was funny. Yeah, don't do that, guys. I've got that one fret file downstairs. It has the crown in it. It's not the SNUMAC Z file. If you're just starting out, I don't recommend the Z files. What I've seen with guys, I've seen guitars that people did their first or second or third fret filing, and they use the Z file. They end up with like a real pyramid shaped fret. And it's the way the Z file was made. You're designed to flip it over and keep the tool moving off its axis. Okay? If you don't do that, it will put a point in the fret. there's two schools of thought on that. If the fret is more crowned in the center, the intonation stays more on point, because as you bend it, it's more like the saddle. The problem with that is the guitar doesn't feel smooth. It's not going to play smooth. It's going to feel sharp. If you do a moderate crown on the top of the fret, and then it's almost like an ellipse. Imagine a flat spot. It's not flat. You still need a crown. Keep it kind of flat, and then roll off your corners. The guitar is going to have a more played-in feel. It's going to feel smoother. So when you really bite, into the fret and you're trying to bend that string, you're going to feel it, because you're putting pressure on the string in the fret. Okay, it's still riding on the center of that. If it's flatter across the top, it's going to have a smoother feel than if it's more pyramid shaped. It's going to want to cut, and the string is going to want to catch on the side of the fret, if that makes any sense. If you like the more played in feel, keep a less grade or radius to the top of the fret. It's going to give it a played in feel. It's going to play smoother, especially if you're doing what I call boomer bends. If you're really doing the boomer bends, it works great for the hammer-ons. That's just what I found. And working on people's guitars, I've found 90% of the people, even though they say, I like the new feel, if you hand them a guitar that has the frets done that way, they usually, first thing is like, oh my gosh, the guitar just plays like butter. Maybe that's a better way of putting it versus saying it's a more played in feel. There's nothing wrong with tapping frets. Just don't use a stainless steel hammer. You know, get yourself a nice brass hammer, okay? And after a year or two, like I service guitars, just take your brass fret hammer over them. Eventually, it's going to get little nicks and dings, because the nickel and the stainless steel is a harder metal than the solid brass handle. So after you do 3 or 4, 5, 6 guitars, I don't really lose count. Yeah, I resurface the hammer a little bit. The last thing you want is to have a divot in the hammer, even though it's softer metal, and that's going to dent before the stainless steel or the nickel. If you just happen to hit that fret where you have a divot, it can still cause a blemish in the fret. So the hammer needs to be semi-smooth as you tap it in. Let the hammer take the abuse, not the frets. That's why we use brass. Brass is used in engines for bearings. It's a softer material. It erodes away quicker. It's better to use that. And you can really beat on it, like the ball-end frets on the Firefly. You really got to tap the ends of those frets down, or it hangs up the strings. Just use brass hammer, and you're golden. You're going to crown and sand and polish those frets anyway. So any damage that brass is going to cause to that nickel or that stainless steel is going to be long gone. You'll never know. Trust me. Especially if you watch my fret videos where I get the neck level, I level the frets, then I go through and I crown the frets, then I polish the frets, and then I double check. Because you've leveled, the first thing you did was you leveled the frets. And now you're going to go back with the Sharpie and sharpen, put the mark on the frets, and you're going to crown them. Okay? You might have it spot on. Well, you've got a lot of scratches in those frets. Now you've got to go from like a 600 to 1,000 to 1,500 grit sandpaper, hit them with a fret eraser, and then polish them. You've removed more material off those frets. You have. That's why they're now polished. You've removed material. You've got to go back with that fret rocker again and check. It happens to me. You do all that work, and you might have one fret where you've just sanded too much off, or maybe you polished it out, and you got to do some touch-up work. Go through, touch up your frets again, and then repeat the process. That's how you're going to get a spot on instrument. You can't do it once. You're removing more material. Not to say that I haven't done it. I have done all that work and they're fine. But I've also done all that work and I'll have one fret and it's kind of like, I took a little bit too much off right there. I'm going to have to go back and do some touch-up work. And that's just how it is. We're human. And before anyone says pleck, a pleck machine just eliminates a little error. Okay, it doesn't polish the frets. It does a rough job of crowning the fret, but a human being still has to go back with folded sandpaper and work around that fret. And if that person on the tail end doing the sanding and the polishing doesn't know what they're doing, it didn't matter that you put it on that pleck machine. The only advantage the pleck has is if the tech knows what he's doing, they do 3 adjustments on the truss rod. They want it positive, negative, and straight. It analyzes per turn how much the neck deflected. And then when it's set to 0, it takes all those computations into account and it figures out the best way of doing it for the guitar to move, because all guitars move. If they didn't set it up 3 times with positive, negative, neutral, the pleck is just doing what it's doing. It's just crowning. It's got to have an average across the board for it to do its job. Once it's done all that, the human still has to go back and sand it. So there can still be error there. You may still have to go back and touch up frets. A good tech can do, in my opinion, the same work or better work than a pleck can do. That's not just me being a tech saying that. I truly think that there's a human aspect to it. You can have something that's perfect and it not play nice, if that makes sense. When you're doing the guitar, you'll see it in my video. I pick it up, I play it. Is this right? Does it feel right? The numbers tell me it's right, but does it feel right? Does it feel smooth? Does it feel comfortable? The machine doesn't know that. All it knows is a bunch of 0s and 1s. That's all it knows. Now, it can learn over time, but it doesn't really know. It's not a human, if that makes sense. Yeah, it may be a great way of wasting frets. I will say this. The pleck would probably, well, I know it would be more accurate at minimizing the amount of material removed from the fret. Okay. As being human, we're going to mark those frets with a Sharpie and we're going to go back and forth. And we're going to go back and forth 2 or 3 times. We're going to look at the fret. Well, what about if the first time I went across the frets, that's all it needed? We're not going to stop with every pass. So each pass you leave a little bit of material. The pleck is going to analyze every fret. It's going to know every high spot to the thousandths of an inch. So it's only going to remove the amount you tell it to remove. If you tell it, I only want to remove 1/1000th of an inch off the lowest fret, that's exactly what it's going to do. If the guitar is in the fixture and it's not moving, that's what it's going to do. If the machine is set and zeroed properly, it's only going to remove what the tech tells it to remove. In that case, I think, yes, the machine is going to remove less material. Huh? Oh, well, going through. The significant other is going to walk through.
Yeah, just announce it.
Yeah. Well, I wanted everyone to see it. That way they don't think I'm talking about a ghost that never appears on the camera. All right, let me get caught up on the chat, guys. Yeah, anytime you can do all your pre-work. Yeah, if I don't, me personally, someone brings you in a guitar, one, it's in a new environment. It may want to move. That's something a lot of people don't think about. When you hand a guitar to a tech, the moisture may be drier, maybe more moist. And transporting the guitar, it's in a new environment, so it wants to move. What I usually tell people is, look, give me the guitar. I'm going to go home. I'm going to put the gauge on it. I'm going to straighten the neck. I don't want to straighten the neck and go right to leveling it. I want to see what the guitar does. If I get up the next day and I look at it and it's moved, I know it's not happy. So I have a choice. Do I straighten the neck again and I rush through leveling the frets and getting it crowned and pray I can get all that work done before the neck moves again? Because it doesn't matter if the neck moves. It only matters if it moves when you tell it to move. Okay? If you level those frets and do all that work, and then the guy goes, well, you know, I like a little relief in the neck. Well, now your frets aren't level. Really stop and think about it, guys. Well, I like relief in my neck. Well, you put relief in the neck. Did you straighten the neck before you leveled the frets are level, whether there's a positive or negative bow in the neck. So the first thing you got to do is get the wood base of the neck level. That's your starting point. Is it going to be perfectly straight? No, it's a piece of wood. Try to get it as straight as possible. It's most important to get that as straight as possible. That way, when you do level the frets, you've got an even playing field now. If the client comes up to you and say, I want a little relief, when you put that relief on the neck, it's going to be a consistent bow in the frets per the relief. If they decide later, you know what, maybe I don't want the relief, and they put a straight edge back on that neck and they tweak that neck back straight, that now the frets are level because it's to the neck. If that makes any sense whatsoever. So the first thing I like to do is straighten the neck. Make sure the neck is going to hold. It's usually 2 or 3 days. I want to double check it. Once I know the neck is holding, I'm going to level the frets. Okay, I'm going to try to remove the bare minimum. As soon as I see the black line gone in the center of the fret, even if it's just a hair, okay, that's it. That's all I'm going to take off. Now, they may want a little extra fall. It's what they call fall. Most people do it from the 14th fret, you know, down. Some people go to the 16th fret. What I try to do is I try to go to the 14th, and I'll go right to here. 13th fret, I put 2 layers of blue tape right there. And I'm going to sand from that blue tape back to here. Okay? And if I'm really picky and the guy plays a lot of lead, I may come down to the 18th, put 2 pieces of tape on the 18th, hit a little bit here, just on the last frets, then move up to the 13th fret and do it again. And basically, you're creating a ramp down. Okay? We're not talking much, a couple thousandths of an inch. Doesn't take much. And that eases the fret out and the play on the higher notes. If you're not a lead player, don't worry about it. That's one of those things, only lead players are going to notice the fall in the frets. If you're not doing that, keep it level. Go back, crown your frets. Make sure you do a good job crowning. Watch your grit of your crown. Stu Mac usually has 3 versions of every fret. Don't sit there and take a 300 grit fret file and think that you're going to go right to polishing or lightly sand that. Most of my fret files are, I think, 400 and 600. Yeah, it takes more work, but it's a smaller scratch. It takes more work, but it's less work on the back end because I'm not grooving the frets. I'm not scratching the you-know-what out of the frets using a really aggressive file. I'll always go to about a 1500 grit on the sandpaper. And then I use 2 passes of compound. I use the blue and it's like a red oxide color. Usually a red oxide color first, and then I finish it off with the blue. But make sure you do every step. Consistency is the key. Don't file this fret, okay, and then not file this fret. You know, people go, I touched it up. That's fine. Do your sandpaper. Get the frets consistent, especially if you're doing a polishing. If you've went all over your frets with 1500 grit sandpaper, hit all your frets with 1500 grit sandpaper. Get all the frets consistent. Whether you're getting it consistent at 300 grit, 600 grit, 800 grit, at some stage, there's no sense in taking a good fret that you did very little work on and taking it down to 300. Maybe work on the frets that you did the most work on up to 800, then do all your frets to 1000, then 1500, then polish. You're trying to consistency. All the frets need to be at some point before you get to the polishing, they need to be at the exact same consistent finish. And that's before polishing, whether it's 1000 grit, 1200, 1500, 2000, whatever you go to. The higher the grit on your sandpaper, the better your polishing will be. And the polishing introduces heat into the frets. Sorry, talking way too much. So if you can use the sandpaper down to 2000 and do less polishing, introducing less heat into the fret, you're going to have less chance of that fret popping out of the fretboard. Because when it gets hot, it's going to expand, it's going to cool. And that's when you start raising the frets in your guitar. Don't stay in one spot when you're polishing. That's the point you can really mess something up quick if you get too much heat in your frets. I do not own a neck through guitar. Blue box. I want one. I have a PV Vandenberg. It's an original. It's an 87 or an 88. That particular model's bolt on. They did make that guitar later on while PV was still making phenomenal instruments as a neck through. And the reason I bring up that guitar, I've been thinking about buying the new PV Vandenberg. They did bring the guitar back. $3,000 is pretty salty, though, for a company that no longer makes their guitars in the United States. I believe they're made, it's either Russia or Ukraine. I'm not too sure. It might be Ukraine that PV is sourcing that guitar from. It's the same location that's making the HP2. That's pretty salty, $3 grand. I've also been looking at the Jackson SL27EX, which is neck through. I've played a couple of neck throughs. The neck through's got a lot of sustain. The issue with neck through is if the guitar goes wonky, it's neck through. So it's going to be really hard for you to shim the neck to get your rake angle correct. Let's say you don't like, there's two things on a guitar. This elevation to the body elevation. I have found when you kick the neck of the guitar this way, you kick it back with a negative rake to the body, for me, it has a better feel. It's not parallel to the body. With a neck through, it is what it is. You can't go back and change it. That's something that's set. You cannot change that angle from the body. If that guitar ever got bad, where you had to make an adjustment, you needed to shim the neck, you can't with a neck through. I think that's really the only downside to a neck through. The positive part of a neck through is it's more sustained. It's more mass. It's a solid. The body and the neck is solid. They're mated together. It's going to resonate better. That doesn't mean that a bolt-on's not going to resonate well. Like I said, all my guitars are bolt-on. I get a phenomenal amount of sustain out of a bolt-on. If it's a bolt-on with a Floyd Rose, go to a larger brass block on the backside of the tremolo. Upgrade the claw. You know, what's a claw? It's just holding the springs. The mass of the claw that hold the springs to the massive block, it does make a difference. I believe it's an Excalibur, makes a solid brass. It's a beefy claw. It would take 20 or 30 of the press stamp claws to equal the weight that the other claw has. Put one of those in, beef up the brass block, and you'll get sustain. Trucker Bob says, hi, significant other.
I know, I typed in hi from one.
Oh, she already typed in hi. Yeah. I'm just reading comments. Used to try to make setups as tight as possible. Yeah. You got to have a little bit of playroom too in the neck pocket, because the guitar string needs to be congruent down here. Okay. As the string comes down the neck, you need these strings right here to be in the center of the neck. And a lot of times when you look at what I call fast guitars, fast production guitars, you'll notice the strings are skewed to the neck. Usually that's a pretty easy fix. You can loosen the screws a little bit on the back of the neck, and you can tweak the neck in the pocket, twist it like this to the body. And you can get this dead center. You want the exact same amount of space from the side of the high E here as you do on the top E. Okay, get the neck. You can't do that with a neck through. A neck through costs more. One, you're gluing the body to the neck. Two, the post locations on the bridge, there is no room for error. You know, Kramer is the only company that made a floating bridge that you could literally adjust the saddle locations. We spoke about it early. The Kramer 2700 Killer, it's called the Killer for a reason, because it kills anything else that was ever made. The Killer is better. You can change the saddle location, this saddle, dead center of the bridge. You can move it a 64th of an inch either way and not affect the other saddles on the bridge. You can move the whole saddle assembly on the base plate as a group. You can move the saddles forward. Okay, you can change the tension. You can lock the tension. You don't have to cut the ball ends off. The way the fulcrum point of the bridge to the lock on the back of the tremolo, the 2700 was just so far ahead of its time. There's a company called Sophia. They make a real high-end bridge now, and they have a global tuner. And I've been meaning to reach out to them. I want to see if they can make me a global tuning center block for a Kramer 2700. If you took the Sophia global tuner mechanism and you could retrofit that onto a Kramer 2700, that would just be the world's awesomest bridge, if that's even a word. I would love to try that. Dude, it's not anybody's channel. The one thing I say on all my reviews, your all's opinion is what makes the channel. I'm just one guy reviewing the guitar. It's up to other people that purchase the guitar to put comments in. You know, you learn so much from other people. it's like going in and watching someone play the guitar, whether they're a new person or someone that's been playing 30 years. If you watch them long enough, you're going to learn something from them. So everything here is open. As long as you guys aren't mean to one another or saying foul words, I don't care. I want to learn just like you guys want to learn. So if you guys can teach me how to shred and play stupid fast, I got big Dumbo ears. I want to hear it. What do I need to do? If you got a better way of taping off the fretboard when you're fret leveling, I want to hear it. I think my little tape trick on the fretboard, I think it works great. If you don't know what that is, go back and look at some of my fret leveling videos where I show you how to tape off the neck and it peels off from one piece. I think that's a cool trick, but we're all here to learn, man. And we're all here because we love playing this little 6-string monster. You know, that's what it's about. I don't know, CG. I'm kind of missing the Czech for Peavy. Okay. It may be. Maybe it is the Czech Republic. I don't know. I know the HP it's the same person that was doing the HP makes the new Vandenberg model. And what's funny is Adrian Vandenberg and Vandenberg, they're on tour right now. And he's only playing the PV Vandenberg for like 1 or 2 songs. He is playing his Gibson Les Paul. You know, he was a Les Paul guy before. Then he went to Fernandez for about a year. I think he was playing Fernandez when he was in Whitesnake. And the other guitar player was playing Peavy. And he talked him into a Peavy. And of course, then Peavy worked out a deal with him to make the Vandenberg. So it's not showing too much confidence in me that the signature artist is only playing the signature guitar for 2 songs when they're out playing live, and he's playing his Gibson. And it might just be that the Gibson is what he's used to, because Peavy dropped him in about 94, 95, and then they started doing an import, the Peavy V-type. And they called it the V-type because they couldn't call it a Vandenberg anymore. And it was a much cheaper guitar. Oh, dude, I am so happy that the purple Firefly is doing its thing. I try to do the best I can possibly do. The only thing we have, guys, is our word. So again, when I do a video and I say I'm seeing these problems, I want you guys to know it's my word. You can count on it. I'm not gonna float out a product that isn't any good. I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to tell you, Kramer. I love Kramers. I've got a Kramer. I wish it wasn't buried. I've got a guitar back there I'd love to show you guys. I have a 1986 Kramer Pacer Imperial in the trans color. It morphs colors. It's mint. When I say it's mint, it's mint. If I took this thing to a guitar store and hung it on the wall, people would think it was brand new. I love Kramer, but if I get a Kramer and it sucks and it has neck issues or this issue, I'm going to say it. I don't want someone watching a review, getting a guitar, and it not be what I claim it is. And that being said, every guitar company can make a bad one. And in the past, I've gotten a bad guitar, Leo Jaymz. Gave him another shot, got another bad guitar. Gave him another shot, got a better guitar. And then I think like the 5th or 6th guitar, they were progressively getting better. But even the best one they sent me still had fret issues. So I can't openly, like Firefly, I can't say odds are if you order a Leo Jaymz, you're going to be able to pull it out of the box and not do anything to it. Odds are with the Firefly, even though they've had problems, the ones that I've reviewed, I'm at 80% playable out of the box. It wouldn't get sent back. You know, if a mother and father ordered that for their child, 80% of them would stay at that house. I did receive one that I considered was bad. The guitar finish, they didn't set the blank on the CNC right, and it had a translucent finish, and you could see the grain of the guitar didn't follow the neck. The grain was going like this, and the neck was going. My OCD. I'm like, no, I can't. I'm not accepting this. Come on, guys, put the piece of wood on the machine right. And then I received one that the body was actually seasoned, cracked right through it. I don't know if it was dropped. But those are really the only two. Well, the FFMN was pretty bad out of the box. So 3 out of the 20 some that I've ordered from them, I'd say that's a pretty good. That's a pretty good for especially a sub 250 guitar to say that 85% of them are good out of the box. I'd say that's pretty good. I would say Firefly is probably the best budget guitar I've had on the channel. The Volgoa seems to be okay. The problem is the Volgoa doesn't seem to be posting anything anymore on Amazon. And the issue they were having was microphonic pickups. Firefly seems to have addressed that issue on their budget guitars. Well, thank you. I'm glad I earned your faith there, man. I'm glad the guitar went to a good home. I know that when it left here, it played like a monster, and I'm shipping it, and I'm like, God, I hope the UPS guy doesn't destroy this. I said, the last thing I want is this guitar to show up on the man's doorstep, and it looks like something from Taco Bell. It's all folded up like a taco. I said, all right. I just didn't notice, hey, I got the box. Why does it look like a taco? I'd be like crying because I spent so much time leveling the frets on that guitar and getting it spot on for you. I really wanted you to enjoy it. And that's why I'm able to do what I'm able to do. If I buy guitars, review them, fix them, and then push them on to the subscribers, you guys know you're getting a great guitar. I've already been through it. And it helps the other people too, because that person can then get on the chat and say, yeah, this is the guitar from the review. Avery did X to it, and now it's spot on. So I appreciate that, man. And I know I haven't been on much lately, but we're gonna start doing some live chats once a week and start getting back into doing some reviews again. But I think I'm gonna have to call it a night, guys. We've been on for over 3 hours. Holy mackerel. No wonder I sound like a dying horse. So I want to thank everyone for clicking in. Special thanks to Trucker Bob. He gave a super thanks for $5. YouTube gets about 35% of that, but that's okay. It's the thought that counts. That'll help the YouTube analytics. And if I haven't said it, hit the like button. I've only got 15 likes. It's a small channel. It's 15's better than none, but on the way out, if you guys want to hit the like button on it, it does help. I don't know if this video will stay up in my playlist or not, since it's just us chatting. We'll see. But I appreciate everyone hanging out, and especially, on a Sunday night like this. But I figured it'd be okay because most people aren't going to be working tomorrow anyway, because it's getting ready to be New Year's and all that stuff's happening. So we're going to work on the review on that little guy right there, sent in. We're going to start reviewing that tomorrow. And I guess next week, we got to pick a day to do live stream. I don't want to do Friday night because, one, I'm a YouTube guy. I watch YouTube just like you all. And believe it or not, I watch Philip McKnight. I find the commentary there and the chat and stuff, I like it. I enjoy watching this channel. I also watch he's my age, wears glasses. He's from Ontario, I think. He does a show on Sundays. Holy mackerel, CG, thank you. $20. Oh my God, thanks, man. I can't remember the guy's name, but on Sunday mornings I watch him. So we'll have to pick a night that doesn't interfere with whatever you guys watch. I know the Bald Shredder's doing something on Thursday nights or Wednesday nights or something, so I don't want to mess up with his time. And if it doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter. We'll live stream over someone else's show. I just wanted to be, I wanted to be polite to the other channels. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, you posting on the videos and stuff helps out the channel, man. I mean, you're a guitarist. You've put comments and stuff, dude. Like I've said, we have to look at it as our channel. That's really how I want the channel to move forward. It's the people that buy the guitars, whether it's pedals, rack mount equipment, speakers, guitars, whatever it is, guys. Let's post it in there and let's talk about it, because I got stuff too, you know. And I sometimes I'm worried. I don't want to spend $180 on a new driver if it sucks. Someone else may have already, hey man, you like this style of music, try this driver. And it really gets you through the thousands of different speakers or thousands of different pedals that are out on the market. So us together as a group, hopefully we get to the finish line a little quicker. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a night. Like I said, I greatly appreciate it. Maybe next time we'll actually do some more noodling. I got to figure out why my microphone is cutting the signal down. So maybe I can do a private chat with one or two of you. That way, not everyone sees us working out the bugs. And we can figure out why the microphone is cutting the signal when I play the guitar and doesn't cut my voice down. There's got to be something I don't have set up right in the live chat, in the setup. Anyway, thanks, guys. Have a good New Year. Don't drink too much. Everyone needs to stay safe. And let's make 2025 awesome. Thanks, guys. Bye. Now I need to figure out how to cut off the live stream.